Chapter 17. Activating his left eye's X-ray vision. Everything in the study, be it in the light or hidden in the dark, had nowhere to hide. Soon, Charlotte's gaze stopped on an archaeological discoveries book. What caught his attention was not the book, but a piece of paper hidden in the pages of the book. Charlotte pulled out archaeological discoveries from the bookshelf and took out the well-folded piece of paper. On the paper was a paragraph. I looked at the map that person brought. The lines on the key are indeed part of the map. Combining the two, I deduced that the sunken ship should be near the East China Sea nine-tailed island. He wanted to cooperate with me, but I rejected him. The relics on the sunken ship belong to the country, and no one can take them for themselves. Tomorrow, I will go to the Cultural Relics Bureau to make a report. The search for the sunken ship should start quickly. I think that if everything goes well, this will be another big event that will shock the archaeological world. Nine-tailed island? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. That man and woman killed Professor Zhang and stole the key. I helped them weld the key, and they are probably looking for the sunken ship near the nine-tailed island. They would never have imagined that I would help the police solve the case so quickly and catch them. At this moment, Jiang Rui walked in from the door of the study, her face beaming. Lazy, I called Chief Su and told him that I found important evidence. Well, I also reported it to Huang Zhonghai. Hee, just thinking about it makes me feel better. Charlotte smiled. How should you thank me? Jiang Rui walked over and stared at Charlotte with a smile. How do you want me to thank you? I think. Forget it. I don't want to eat Sichuan cuisine anymore. Charlotte gave up. Jiang Rui smiled. It's good that you think that way. I've even saved 200 yuan. Charlotte placed a letter left by Professor Zhang into Jiang Rui's hands. Although you are a miser, I will still be a good person until the end. This is a note left behind by Professor Zhang. There is an address written on it. If you bring your men there, you will most likely be able to catch the two suspects. Jiang Rui opened the letter and read the contents. Charlotte said, "This is as far as I can help. The rest is up to you. There's no point for me to stay. I'm leaving. If you need my help, just contact me." Wait. Jiang Rui stopped Charlotte with a surprised look on her face. How did you find this note? Why didn't our technical team find such an important thing? Charlotte pointed at the bookshelf. I was looking for a book to read, but I didn't expect to find this note in a book. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Jiang Rui looked very surprised. Charlotte smiled. Didn't you say that I'm your lucky star? I was just a blind cat bumping into a dead mouse. It was just a coincidence. Jiang Rui was still staring at Charlotte suspiciously. She also had a stomach full of questions. The experts of the police technical team didn't find anything, but Charlotte found evidence as soon as he disappeared. He even found a clue to catch the criminals. When did he become so powerful? He's like Sherlock Holmes. At this moment, there was a sudden noise outside, and then Huang Zhonghai's voice came. Jiang Rui, as the bureau chief, you know you're wrong. This is the crime scene. How can you bring an irrelevant person in? Charlotte and Jiang Rui were stunned for a moment. They both looked very surprised. Why is that annoying guy here? Charlotte asked. Rui, are you sure you're calling Department Chief Su? Jiang Rui nodded. Yeah. How can I not know who I'm calling? Department Chief Su said he'll send someone over to assist me immediately. Will that Department Chief Su send Huang Zhonghai to assist you? It can't be. I don't think he has a good impression of Huang Zhonghai. Otherwise, it wouldn't be my turn to be the bureau chief. Jiang Rui stomped her feet, looking very annoyed. But why is that guy Huang Zhonghai here? Just as she finished speaking, Huang Zhonghai appeared at the door of the study. There were a few police officers following Huang Zhonghai. When they saw Jiang Rui, they unnaturally avoided Jiang Rui's line of sight. Huang, Director Huang, why are you here? For some reason, Jiang Rui's imposing manner was a notch lower when she saw Huang Zhonghai. She looked very guilty. Huang Zhonghai sneered. Director Jiang, don't tell me you don't know what place this is? How did you bring this guy here? You're destroying the scene. Jiang Rui was about to speak when Charlotte, who was behind her, reached out and pinched the back of her thigh. Her mouth opened into the shape of an orange, but no sound came out. Charlotte moved closer to her ear and said softly, If you want him to steal your credit, tell him about the evidence and note I found. Do you want to die? It hurts. Don't you know to pinch a meaty place? Jiang Rui said through gritted teeth. Only she and Charlotte could hear her voice. Meaty place? Was she referring to the butt? Charlotte didn't dare to touch that place. Why are you so afraid of him? Are you a pig? You can't be smart no matter how you teach you. He's your subordinate, and you still have the evidence and clues to solve the case. Don't you dare to be fiercer with him? Jiang Rui was slightly dazed. Yeah, why can't I? I'm the bureau chief. Bureau Chief Jiang. Didn't you hear what I said to you? Huang Zhonghai said aggressively. I'm waiting for your explanation. Jiang Rui took a deep breath and suddenly scolded. Explanation, my ass. Huang Zhonghai, shut up. Huang Zhonghai was stunned on the spot, and the whole study was quiet. Several police officers' eyes were focused on Jiang Rui. There was no doubt that this was the first time they saw their bureau chief Jiang show her power. It was enough to surprise them for a few minutes. Jiang. Huang Zhonghai wanted to speak. Jiang Rui interrupted him again. I told you to shut up. Didn't you hear me? I'm the bureau chief. You're just my assistant, a spare tire. It's not your turn to tell me what to do. What's wrong with me bringing people here? I'm doing this to solve the case. Look at you. What else can you do besides making trouble for me? Her mouth was like a minigun multi-barrel machine gun at full power, and her saliva was like the machine gun bullets that sprayed out. Jiang Rui pointed to the door of the study and said sternly, Huang Zhonghai, you go back to the station now. You guys stay here to solve the case. Several police officers looked at Huang Zhonghai together, as if waiting for his instructions, or they were observing and judging the situation so that they could choose the right side. Only then did Huang Zhonghai come back to his senses. He sneered, Jiang Rui, I, Huang Zhonghai, don't need a temporary bureau chief like you to command me. A man's voice suddenly came from outside the door. What a big tone. She can't command you. How about I command you? As the voice fell, a tall and thin police officer appeared at the door of the study. On his shoulder was the rank of a second-class superintendent with a silver olive branch nailed to it. His face was calm, but he didn't look angry. Although Charlotte had never seen this person before, he could guess his identity based on the police superintendent's rank on his shoulder. He was the Chief Su that Jiang Rui had mentioned. Sure enough, he soon saw the name on his work card, Su Jingyi. Su Jingyi didn't come alone. There were several police officers behind him. Some were technicians with toolboxes, and some were criminal investigators with guns. As soon as they appeared, the police officers standing at the door of the study immediately made way for them and stood far away from them. Seeing Su Jingyi, Mr. Huang Zhonghai was stunned for a moment. Then, he greeted him with a face full of smiles. He stretched out his hands and said flatteringly, Chief Su, are you here to guide me? However, Su Jingyi directly walked past Huang Zhonghai without shaking hands with him. Huang Zhonghai's face turned red. He awkwardly retracted his hand. Chief Su, I was just discussing the progress of the case with Chief Jiang. I've already obtained important information, including the suspect's appearance. Chief Su, take a look. This is the sketch of the suspect. Huang Zhonghai took out the sketch of the two suspects drawn by Jiang Rui. Jiang Rui said angrily, Huang Zhonghai, can't you be more shameless? That was Lei's dictation, and I drew it myself. Since when did it become your information? Huang Zhonghai said shamelessly, Chief Jiang, I know you're eager to make a contribution, but some things can't be rushed. You. Jiang Rui was furious. Charlotte said, Chief Huang, you said you have important information. Then you must know the real identity of the two suspects, right? You also know where the two suspects are hiding and what they're planning to do, right? Huang Zhonghai couldn't say a word. Su Jingyi's gaze fell on Charlotte. Strangely, there was a hint of encouragement in his gaze. Charlotte continued, Chief Huang, your thoughts aren't on solving the case, but on delaying Chief Jiang from solving the case so that you can step down, right? You're talking nonsense. Huang Zhonghai couldn't maintain his composure. Charlotte's lips curled into a sneer. Chief Jiang knows everything you don't know. In fact, Chief Jiang has already solved the case. Huh? What's going on? Su Jingyi looked surprised. Jiang Rui quickly put the things Charlotte found on the desk and explained, Chief Su, This is the evidence left behind by the suspect. There are traces of blood and hair on this nail. We can use DNA analysis to find out the suspect's real identity. Also, this is the note left by Professor Jean. It points out where the suspect might be. Without further ado, I think we should split up to analyze and compare the suspect's real identity while carrying out the arrest. Su Jingyi looked at the nail on the napkin and then at the note left by Professor Jean. His face broke into a smile. Rui, well done. Why did you think of coming back to the crime scene to look for evidence? Jiang Rui glanced at Charlotte and couldn't help but smile. I think no matter how secretive or clean the murderer is, there will definitely be something related to him left at the crime scene. We didn't find it last time because we weren't careful enough. This time, I looked carefully and really found this nail in the vacuum cleaner's dust container. Then, I found a note left behind by Professor Zhang in a book. Good, very good. I didn't misjudge you. Su Jingyi was elated. Jiang Rui glanced at Charlotte again, her beautiful eyes filled with gratitude and joy. Charlotte was also very happy. He didn't mind Jiang Rui taking his credit at all, because it was useless to him. However, it was very important for Jiang Rui's future. Su Jingyi looked at Huang Zhanghai and said in an unfriendly tone, Huang Zhanghai, you go back first. I'll talk to you after this case is solved. Huang Zhanghai's head suddenly drooped. It could be foreseen that what Su Jingyi talked to him about was definitely not something good. Just as Su Jingyi called people over and several technicians were processing the evidence, Jiang Rui came to Charlotte's side and pinched his buttocks hard. Charlotte was caught off guard. He gritted his teeth and said, What are you doing? You pinched me, and I pinched you. We're even. Jiang Rui laughed very softly. I'll treat you to Western food later. This time it's real. It's definitely not Sichuan food that costs 200 yuan. Then, she pinched Charlotte's buttocks hard. Charlotte grimaced in pain. He couldn't wait to reach out and pinch her buttocks a few times. It must be very comfortable to pinch that fleshy place, right? But he didn't dare to take action in the end. What made him depressed was that his thing was actually awakened by Jiang Rui's 2 pinches. Even the cloth couldn't hide its aggressiveness. Chapter 18. On the same night that the evidence was found, the police arrested 2 suspects on the Nine-Tailed Island. Jiang Rui used WeChat to send Charlotte a photo of the scene. It was the man in the suit and the sexy woman who welded the key for him that day. This case was considered solved here. Jiang Rui's position as the bureau chief was stable. As for what precious cultural relics were in the shipwreck, it was difficult to guess. Charlotte didn't care at all. His whole mind was on learning. When he came back from Lama's studio in the afternoon, he went to a bookstore and bought books worth thousands of yuan. There were English-Chinese dictionary, English grammar, contemporary university German, introduction to Japanese, French, and other foreign language books. There were welder's handbook, welding engineer's handbook, precision machining, and other professional technical books. There were also introduction to computers, introduction to C language, programmer's handbook, and other computer books. These books were all about learning knowledge. There were 2 big boxes with dozens of books. It was almost impossible for ordinary people to learn and master them without more than 10 years of effort. Charlotte didn't need this long time of more than 10 years. In an hour after seeing the photos sent to him by Jiang Rui, he had already finished reading an English-Chinese dictionary. There was a distinct characteristic of his reading. That was, he didn't rush to understand the meaning of the words. He just glanced at it quickly with his eyes. Closing the book, Charlotte closed his eyes. His mind suddenly appeared the content that he had read. Every article, every paragraph, every sentence, and even every punctuation mark appeared in his mind one by one. The hardest part of learning a foreign language was memorizing words. He memorized the entire English-Chinese dictionary in an hour. With such progress, why would it take him a few years to master the foreign language English? Brother, the light in your room is still on. What are you doing so late at night? Xia Shui's voice came from outside the door. Charlotte glanced at the alarm clock on the bedside table and found that it was already midnight. He said, I'm reading. Rest early. You have to go to the store early tomorrow morning. Don't be too tired. Xia Shui was concerned. Well, I'm going to sleep now. You should go to sleep too. Charlotte turned off the light. Brother, I will go to the store to help tomorrow. Xia Shui said. No, there's nothing to do in the store. An and I are enough, said Charlotte. Then, I still have to go to school for tutoring. The sound of slippers came from outside the door. Xia Shui went back to her room. Charlotte lay on the bed with his eyes closed, but he was still thinking about the contents of the English-Chinese dictionary. He was so excited that he couldn't fall asleep. The next morning, Charlotte took a few books to Lei Ma's studio. When he arrived, he found that Ma Xiaoan was already busy in the studio. Why so early? Charlotte was a little surprised. Ma Xiaoan said with a smile, I can't sleep. The earlier I come to work, the earlier our studio can open. Haha, I can't wait for that day to come. Charlotte smiled. I think so too. With us two brothers working together, Lei Ma's studio will be successful. Ma Xiaoan's eyes fell on the large pile of books in Charlotte's hands. He said curiously, Why did you bring so many books? Were these books? Charlotte said, They are all reference books, welding engineer's handbook, precision machining, and so on. I want to read them when the renovation master comes. You brought so many books. Can you finish them? Ma Xiaoan's eyes were full of doubts. Under normal circumstances, one book was enough for one person to read. How could Charlotte bring so many thick books at once? Charlotte just smiled and said nothing. He said quietly in his heart, If you knew that I memorized the entire English-Chinese dictionary and English grammar last night, would you still think so? The two were busy for a while, and the renovation master came on a tricycle with his tools and renovation materials. According to Charlotte's plan, the walls of the shop should be repainted, and the ceiling should be replaced with new plasterboard. The whole shop should give people a clean and tidy feeling. The tools and equipment should also be rearranged to make reasonable use of the space. In short, this shop would be upgraded to a higher level. It would no longer be the previous small shop on the street. It would become a powerful and tasteful studio. It would be meaningless to open a studio if it received work like welding broken carriages and repairing electric rice cookers all day long. What Charlotte wanted were more high-end orders, such as high-difficulty welding, precision machining, and so on. This was also the original intention of establishing Lei Ma Studio. After the renovation master came into work, Charlotte moved a chair out and sat at the door to read. Ma Xiaoan had nothing to do, so he went to help the renovation master. The whole morning passed just like that, and Xiaolei also finished reading 2 thick professional books. Just as Charlotte and Ma Xiaoan were about to invite the renovation master to a nearby restaurant for dinner, a red Volkswagen Polo stopped by the side of the road. Jiang Rui got out of the car. She was wearing a white short-sleeved round-neck t-shirt, a black tight skirt, a pair of flesh-colored stockings, and black high heels. Her appearance was like a cool scenery in summer, refreshing and pleasing to the eye. However, Charlotte saw more than that. He also saw a black lace and a purple bra. Then, these things disappeared from his eyes. Jiang Rui, who was under the shade of the trees, was like a primitive tribal girl who had just come out of a cave and was about to pick a leaf to cover her shy body. A piece of cloth on Charlotte's body was slightly tense, and he quickly looked away. But there was still a beautiful snow-white scene in his mind. Jiang Rui's buttocks were very sexy. This was the conclusion he concluded after seeing her several times. Why can't I control my desire to see her? This question popped up in Charlotte's mind again, but he still couldn't figure it out. Ma Xiaoan sighed in admiration. He lowered his voice beside Charlotte and said, Sister-in-law's figure is really good. It seems that you won't go to dinner with us. Go. Flirting with your future sister-in-law is the right thing to do. I will call the renovation master. Sister-in-law? How many times do I have to tell you before you believe me? There's nothing between me and her. Charlotte was actually quite speechless. Ma Xiaoan smiled and said, I won't believe you even if you say it 10,000 times. Charlotte lay. Jiang Rui came over with a sweet smile on her face. Is this your studio? Not bad. It's SOS. Charlotte looked at her and said, Don't you have to go to work today? Why are you dressed like this? Jiang Rui said, The case was solved and the higher-ups gave me 3 days off. I'm on vacation now. Don't I look good in this? Charlotte said with a smile, You look good, but you don't look like the director of the police station. Jiang Rui rolled her eyes at him and said, "Who would wear a police uniform if they're not working? I'm a young and beautiful woman when I'm not working. Of course, I have to wear beautiful clothes or my good figure will be wasted. Don't you think so?" Charlotte said in his heart, "Yes, my ass. You're shameless." Ma Xiaoan smiled and said, "Sister-in-law." "Oh, hello, Sister Jiang." Jiang Rui also smiled and said, "Ma Xiaoan, didn't you just say that you wanted to invite the renovation master to dinner? Why are you still here?" Ma Xiaoan. A few seconds later, Ma Xiaoan and the renovation master disappeared from the sight of Jiang Rui and Charlotte. Charlotte said, "Why did you send Xiaoan away?" Jiang Rui smiled and said, "If I didn't send him away, how could I treat you to a Western meal? It's going to cost a lot of money for one more person." Charlotte was stunned for a moment and said, "I just said it casually. Do you really want to treat me to a Western meal?" "Of course it's true. Do you think I'm joking with you?" Jiang Rui took Charlotte's hand and said, "Let's go. I've booked the table." Charlotte was a little embarrassed and said, "I'm dressed so beautifully, but I'm wearing work clothes. It's not appropriate, right?" "Don't worry. I brought your clothes for you. They're in my car. You can change in the car." Jiang Rui said. "Ah." Charlotte was surprised and said, "Why do you have my clothes?" "Of course, I went to your house to get it. Your sister is at home. Otherwise, how would I know where your studio is?" Jiang Rui pushed Charlotte forward. Xiaolei braced himself and got into the car. Sure enough, there was his suit in the car. He even brought his leather shoes. Jiang Rui was really a very careful woman. "Hurry up and take it off. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and change your clothes," Jiang Rui urged. Charlotte said awkwardly, "How can I take it off when you're looking at me? I've seen your butt naked. What are you shy about? That was when I was a child." Charlotte's face was red. "Wasn't your body when you were a child?" Jiang Rui rolled her eyes at Charlotte. Charlotte looked at her speechlessly. He wanted to say that his penis was like a cowpea when he was a child, but could his penis still be a cowpea now? The cowpea had been changed to a banana. How could it be the same? "Aya, you're really troublesome. Forget it. I won't look at you, okay? Hurry up." Jiang Rui turned her head away. Charlotte sighed and reached out to take off his shirt. Jiang Rui was very honest. She didn't look back at him during the process. But when he took off his overalls, leaving only his briefs, Jiang Rui suddenly turned her head and stared at him. "Huh." Jiang Rui laughed happily, as if her evil plan had succeeded. Her gaze fell on that place. The bulge seemed to have touched a sensitive nerve in her. Her pink face suddenly turned red. She then spat again. "Did you use all the nutrition you ate on that place?" "Perverted." Charlotte, while she was scolding him, her gaze didn't leave that perverted place. Charlotte was also a little annoyed. He went all out. He grabbed the elastic rope and pretended to pull it down. He said, "You should have brought my underwear, right? If you want to see it, I'll change it for you." "Ba ba ba. I don't want to see it. Whoever looks at it will get a needle's eye." Jiang Rui was embarrassed and turned her head away. Charlotte laughed. He felt that he had probably found Jiang Rui's weakness. Then his left eye twitched slightly. Jiang Rui's clothes all evaporated like a mist, leaving behind a smooth, slender waist and full breasts. She had used her eyes to molest him. He had to return the favor, right? Chapter 19. Half an hour later, Jiang Rui drove to a Western restaurant by the sea. There were not many people eating Western food at noon. There were only a dozen guests in the restaurant. Jiang Rui and Charlotte sat at a table near the French window. Through the French window, they could see a clean beach and the blue sea. The scenery was really good. It was the first time for Charlotte to eat Western food. He seemed a little clumsy, but he quickly adapted. "Lei, thank you very much this time." Jiang Rui raised her glass of red wine. "Let me give you a toast." Charlotte smiled and said, "If you really want to thank me, then add a lobster." Jiang Rui suddenly took off her high-heeled shoes and kicked between Charlotte's thighs. Caught off guard, Charlotte quickly clamped his legs and said nervously, "What are you doing? This is a restaurant." Jiang Rui withdrew her kicking leg, but Charlotte was worried that she would do something bad again and didn't dare to let go. The two of them, one pulling and the other clamping, didn't know each other's purpose, so the two of them were embarrassed and nervous. After a few confrontations, Charlotte suddenly loosened his legs, and Jiang Rui's foot hit Charlotte something because of inertia. The sole of the foot collided with the non-sole of the foot. There were no sparks and no sound of explosion, but it was like a violent chemical reaction. The bodies of the two people were frozen at that moment. You? Charlotte's mouth opened and couldn't speak. The foot that kicked to something didn't bring him any discomfort. Instead, it was too comfortable and exciting, so much that he couldn't speak. Jiang Rui's face couldn't find a place that wasn't red. She was stunned for a moment and hurriedly withdrew her foot. She didn't dare to look at Charlotte's eyes. She lowered her head, but in her heart, she was quietly recalling the wonderful feeling of that touch. It was as if she had been electrocuted, making her feel numb. Some fruits and vegetables, such as bananas, cucumbers, and so on, appeared in her beautiful head. Just when the situation was extremely awkward, a young man in a suit and leather shoes walked to the table where the two of them were eating. He was a handsome and elegant young man with an extraordinary aura and an enchanting smile. Even his voice was enchanting and magnetic. Rui, it really is you. You've become so beautiful that I didn't even dare to recognize you. You are. Jiang Rui looked at the young man's handsome face and suddenly remembered something. She said happily, Su Lang, it's really you. Where are you assigned to? After graduation, I was assigned to a department in the capital. This time, I've been transferred back. Su Lang maintained a charming smile on his face. When I came back this time, I heard that you solved a big case and became the director of the Beigong district branch. Amazing. Why didn't I see you so amazing when we were in the police academy? From the conversation between the two, Charlotte could tell that this young man, named Su Lang, was Jiang Rui's college classmate. It seemed a little inappropriate for him to be next to them when they were classmates. He glanced at Jiang Rui and was about to find an excuse to leave when Su Lang reached out to him. You're Rui's boyfriend, right? Su Lang said very gracefully. Hello, my name is Su Lang. May I know your name, sir? Su Lang was standing. It wasn't appropriate for Charlotte to sit. Out of politeness, he also stood up and reached out to shake Su Lang's hand. He said, My surname is Xia, Charlotte. Then he said with a smile, But I'm not Rui's boyfriend. We're childhood friends who grew up together. So that's how it is. Nice to meet you. Su Lang let go of his hand and said some polite words, but his eyes moved to Charlotte's palm. Charlotte wasn't a playboy, and his work wasn't easy work in an office. There were thick calluses on his palm. Observant people could easily guess the nature of his job from this point, and could also guess his social class and his family income. As if he had guessed this, Su Lang frowned slightly. This change in expression was very subtle, but Charlotte's current eyesight was not comparable to that of ordinary people. He saw Su Lang look at his palm and then frown. He suddenly understood something in his heart. In the past few years of working in society, what kind of supercilious look had he not seen? This Su Lang was very polite at first, but he frowned when he saw the calluses on his hand. If this wasn't looking down on blue-collar workers like him, then what was it? However, he didn't care. He had a tolerant bearing. Sit down and talk. Jiang Rui invited Su Lang to take a seat. You haven't eaten yet, right? Let's eat together. It's my treat, Su Lang said with a smile. If someone wants a treat, it should be me. How can a lady treat? But I'm not alone. I'm waiting for my uncle. Your uncle? Jiang Rui thought for a moment. I remember. Isn't your uncle director, Su Jingyi? He's coming too? Where is he? At this moment, Su Jingyi came in from the door of the restaurant. Su Lang waved at him. He saw it and immediately walked over. Hello, Director Su. Jiang Rui stood up and took the initiative to greet Su Jingyi. Su Jingyi waved his hand and said in a low voice, It's not good if you don't address me with your position outside of work. Jiang Rui smiled awkwardly and moved a chair for Su Jingyi. Su Lang also said, Uncle, I didn't expect to meet Rui here. We were classmates in the police academy. Let's sit together. Su Jingyi nodded and took a seat. He glanced at Charlotte, but didn't greet him. Charlotte wanted to greet him, but he remembered that he had only met Su Jingyi once. They didn't even have a formal greeting before, so he gave up. He was also a proud man. Even if Su Jingyi was the governor, he wouldn't deliberately curry favor with him, let alone the director. Su Lang waved his hand, and a waiter came over with a menu. "Sir, what would you like to order?" The waiter was very polite. Su Lang said, "Give me 3 lobsters and a bottle of 5-year-old red wine from Eiffel Castle." "Okay, I'll take it down," the waiter said. Su Lang looked at Charlotte again and said, "Mr. Xia, this is the first time we've met. I don't know what you like to eat." "What do you like to eat?" "I'll order for you." Charlotte said lightly, "Thank you. I've just eaten. I don't need it." Su Lang was straightforward. He said to the waiter, "That's it then." "Okay, sir. I'll get the kitchen to prepare it," the waiter said. Jiang Rui stopped the waiter who was about to leave. "Wait, remove another lobster. I'm actually almost done. I don't want to eat anymore." She added with a smile, "If I eat anymore, I'm afraid I'll get fat." In fact, if Su Lang had ordered 4 lobsters and Charlotte didn't refuse, she wouldn't have refused. Su Lang looked at Charlotte with a special gaze. Although he was polite on the surface, she wasn't a stupid woman. She had long seen that Su Lang looked down on Charlotte. This made her a little unhappy. Su Lang said awkwardly, "Rui, we haven't seen each other for 2 years. I've been transferred from the capital, so we'll be colleagues in the future. You have to give me face, right? Eat some more, and let's drink some wine." Jiang Rui glanced at Charlotte. Charlotte didn't notice. He was still thinking of an excuse to leave. At this time, Su Jingyi said, "That's right. Rui, Su Lang will be working in the technical department this time. You'll be colleagues in the future, and you'll have to deal with each other. It's rare for everyone to get together, so don't spoil the mood." Su Jingyi spoke. Jiang Rui didn't dare to disrespect him, so she nodded. Charlotte also thought of an excuse to leave. He said, "I still have something to do in the shop. Please enjoy your meal. I'll be leaving now." Lei. Jiang Rui wanted to say something, but stopped. She didn't want Charlotte to leave. Su Lang said with a smile, "Then I won't see you out. I'll accompany you next time." Su Jingyi just glanced at Charlotte and didn't say a word to Charlotte from beginning to end. But at this moment, a woman walked in the corridor leisurely. She was wearing a long black dress, black low-heeled shoes, black sunglasses, and a handbag. She was tall and had long legs. She was like a female assassin coming out of a movie. Her whole body exuded a cold and dangerous aura. Her eyes were locked on Charlotte as soon as she appeared. Everyone in the restaurant seemed to be excluded by her. She didn't look at him. Although the sunglasses covered her eyes and part of her face, Charlotte still recognized her at a glance. It was Long Bing. Why is she here? Xia Lei felt very strange in his heart and forgot to leave. Su Lang didn't find Long Bing. He looked at Charlotte and said with some displeasure, "Mr. Xia, aren't you going to leave?" Charlotte came to his senses this time. When he was about to speak, Long Bing had already walked to the table. Long Bing stared at her, and the words that he was about to say were stuck in his throat. Only then did Su Lang, Su Jingyi, and Jiang Rui notice Long Bing. Jiang Rui's expression suddenly became complicated. This was because she had seen Long Bing before and knew how mysterious and powerful this woman was. She wanted to greet Long Bing, but she realized that she was only looking at Charlotte from beginning to end. She didn't even look at her. "May I ask who you are, miss?" Su Lang looked at Long Bing in surprise. His eyes flashed with a hint of amazement. At this moment, Su Jingyi suddenly stood up with a nervous expression. Miss Long, why are you here?" Long Bing glanced at Su Jingyi and said in a cold voice, "Yes, Chief Su, I have something to discuss with Charlotte." "Uncle, you two know each other?" Su Lang smiled and said, "Why don't you introduce us?" He stood up and extended his hand to Long Bing. He looked very gentlemanly. "My name is Su Lang. Nice to meet you. Miss, what's your name?" Long Bing didn't even extend her hand. Instead, she pulled the chair next to Charlotte. Charlotte was a little puzzled. "What are you doing?" Long Bing said, "I haven't treated anyone to a meal in 3 years. Today, I want to treat you to a meal. Please have a seat." Charlotte was slightly stunned. He didn't know whether to sit or not. Su Lang's face suddenly turned red. There was also a trace of anger on his face. It seemed like he was about to explode. Su Jingyi, who was next to him, suddenly kicked him under the table and then stared at him nervously. Su Lang was not a fool. He immediately understood. A woman who could make his uncle so nervous and hint at him, no matter what her identity was not a woman he could offend. But what he couldn't understand was why such a mysterious and powerful woman would be so respectful and courteous to a kid whose hands were full of calluses. He couldn't understand. "I'm sorry, can you guys change tables? I want to talk to Charlotte alone," Long Bing said. Su Jingyi's old face had long been embarrassed, but he could still put on a smile at this time. He said with a smile, "Okay, you guys talk slowly. We won't disturb you anymore. Let's change tables." Long Bing looked at Charlotte quietly. "Please have a seat." Xiao Lei smiled bitterly and braced himself to sit down. He guessed why Long Bing was looking for him this time, but he couldn't guess it. On the aisle, Su Lang asked in a low voice, "Uncle, what's the background of this woman named Long?" Su Jingyi lowered his voice. "I'm not sure, but she could make the Anti-Corruption Bureau dismiss Li Qinghua in 20 minutes with a phone call. She also pointed a gun at the police chief's head at the police station. What do you think her background is?" After a pause, he moved closer to Su Lang's ear and whispered, "Also, the news I heard was Jiang Rui's idea to become the police chief. Be careful, don't provoke her." Su Lang suddenly felt a chill on his back. Chapter 20. The waiter in the restaurant cleaned up the table, and even the tablecloth was replaced with a new one. Looking at the delicious lobster and red wine, Charlotte did not have the slightest appetite. The way Long Bing looked at him made him a little uncomfortable. Long Bing's eyes were very special, as if they could see through his soul and discover all his secrets. "Aren't you in the capital? Why are you back in Haizhu?" Charlotte broke the silence between the two. "I came back to find you," Long Bing said. "What's the matter?" Charlotte seemed to be influenced by her, and his words were concise and to the point. Long Bing opened her handbag and took out an old cast iron key. Charlotte was stunned, because the cast iron key in her hand was the Ming Dynasty key that he had welded. "Did you weld it?" Long Bing looked straight at Charlotte. Charlotte nodded. "I welded it, but how did it end up with you?" Long Bing said, "I've been paying attention to you, and I know what you've done." Charlotte's brows suddenly wrinkled. "You've been watching me?" Long Bing did not admit or deny it, but changed the topic. "The police of Haizhu City arrested the 2 criminals who killed Professor Zhang Buqing and recovered this key. An expert saw the key you welded and called it a miracle. He said that even a welding engineer with 10 years of experience couldn't do such a welding technique." "How did you do it?" "Did you come to ask me this?" Charlotte tentatively asked. "This question seems childish, but I really want to know the answer. I'm more and more curious about everything about you." Long Bing's eyes seemed a little sharp, and there was a hint of suspicion in them. Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. "Well, I'm more and more curious about you. Tell me your real identity, and I'll tell you how I did it. You can't be the only one asking questions, right?" Long Bing said, "Now is not the time to let you know. Don't mention this question again in the future. I will let you know when it's time to let you know." How insincere. Charlotte already knew that she would say this. "However, even though you didn't answer my question, I'm willing to answer yours. I welded this key with a pair of welding tongs and a cast iron electrode." Long Bing was stunned for a moment, and then she smiled for the first time. "Do you think I'm a child?" Charlotte thought that she looked good when she smiled, but he didn't dare to say out loud. The two drank a glass of wine. Long Bing put down the wine glass. "Actually, the real purpose of my visit this time is to ask you for a favor." "What do you want me to do?" "It's still related to Professor Zhang Buqing's case." Long Bing said, "Archaeologists have found the shipwreck and found an iron cabin in the shipwreck. They used this key to open the iron cabin. There was no exquisite porcelain or gold or silver treasures inside, only a compass." "A compass?" "Yes, a compass, a very strange compass." Long Bing described, "It's actually a very sophisticated instrument, like a clock. There are pointers on the compass, but because some parts of the compass are broken, it can't work. I want to ask you to help me weld the broken parts and reprocess the parts that can't be repaired to repair the compass." Charlotte said with a smile, "I'm not a watchmaker. Welding the parts will increase the weight, which will affect the accuracy of the compass. If I use a lathe to process the new parts, can they fuse with other parts from hundreds of years ago? Also, you trust me so much that you're willing to let me repair such an important cultural relic? Long Bing said, I don't want excuses. I just want answers. Just give me an answer. Will you help me or not? She was always so overbearing. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Well, since you trust me so much, it would be inappropriate for me to refuse you. Where's the compass? I want to see it first. Long Bing stood up. Then let's go. Charlotte glanced at the lobster on the table with some reluctance and said gloomily, That's a lobster. I didn't even eat it and left. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have ordered it. What a waste. Although he thought so, Charlotte still rushed to the front desk to pay the bill. This meal cost more than 1,000 yuan, which made his heart ache. Inadvertently, he saw Jiang Rui eating at another table. Jiang Rui glared at him fiercely. Charlotte immediately returned the glare and also glared at Jiang Rui. But this glare made his left eye twitch slightly. In his left eye, Jiang Rui suddenly had no clothes. Her breasts, her buttocks, her waist, and her long legs were all exposed to his field of vision without any concealment. The buttocks that were pressed against the dining chair were like a huge piece of jelly. It was indescribably delicate and exquisite, and it immediately stimulated him. Long Bing looked at Charlotte with a strange look. Do you want to say hello? I can wait for you. Charlotte came to his senses and hurriedly looked away. No, let's go. After leaving the restaurant, Charlotte got in Long Bing's car and went to the Haizhu City Archaeology Bureau. It was an old compound with a 4-story brick and concrete building and a row of bungalows. When entering the office building, Charlotte couldn't help but ask curiously, Miss Long, Professor Zhang's case has been solved. The nature of this matter has become archaeology. Why do you still care about this? Long Bing gave him the impression that she was a person who worked in a storm of bullets. He also guessed that she was a very high-level agent or something. Why would she ask such a person to weld a compass? Even if someone wanted to ask him to do it, it should be someone from the Archaeology Bureau, not her. Long Bing said, This case is more complicated than you think. But you're not a police officer, nor one of us, so I can't tell you too much. Don't ask about things related to the case. Help me fix the compass. Charlotte smiled bitterly and shrugged. Well, take me to see it. Long Bing took Charlotte to a showroom. There was an old man and a young woman in the showroom. The old man was about 60 years old. He had gray hair at the temples and wore colorless glasses. He had a scholarly demeanor. The woman was about 20 years old. She was thin and tall. She had an oval face and wore a pair of colorless glasses. She looked gentle and delicate. The old man and the young woman were discussing something. There was a cast-iron compass on a display table next to them. There were several broken parts next to it. Charlotte's eyes fell on the compass and was immediately attracted. The compass on the display table looked like a magnified clock. It was very complicated. It was a miracle that such a compass could be made with the manufacturing technology of the Ming Dynasty. He had a question in his heart. What was this compass used for? Long Bing walked over and said, Professor Huang, Dr. Ning, hello. I brought the technician who can repair the compass. Only then did the old man and the young woman realize that someone had come in. Their eyes also moved to Long Bing and Charlotte. They definitely knew Long Bing, but when they saw that the technician that Long Bing brought was so young, both of their faces showed a little surprise. Long Bing said, Let me introduce you. This is Professor Huang Weigua, an authoritative professor in the domestic archaeology field. This is Dr. Ning Jingjing. She was a proud disciple of the late Professor Zhang Buqing. Then she pointed at Xia Lei and said, This is Xiu Haowo Xia Lei, the owner of Lei Ma Studio. Such an introduction made Charlotte a little embarrassed. He was not a technician. In fact, he was just a worker who had obtained a welder certificate. His Lei Ma Studio was also a small street shop that had just been bought. It didn't even have a reputation. By introducing him like that, Long Bing was trying to raise his value. However, Xia Lei kept his composure and said politely, Professor Huang, Professor Ning, nice to meet you. Professor Huang Weigua took the initiative to shake hands with Xia Lei and said with a smile, Master Lei, after seeing the key you welded, I wanted to meet you. Before you came, I thought you were about 40 or 50 years old, but I didn't expect you to be so young. The younger generation will surpass the older." Charlotte smiled and said, "Professor Huang, you are too kind." Peaceful, who was standing next to Huang Weigua, smiled and said, "You guys don't have to be so polite. Let's talk business." Peaceful looked gentle and sweet. Her voice was soft and pleasant. She had a gentle temperament that was unique to a knowledgeable woman. Whether it was Huang Weigua or Peaceful, Charlotte had a good impression of him. He did not restrain himself. He went straight to the display table and looked at the compass on the table. At this time, Peaceful moved next to Longbing. "Miss Long, he is so young. Did he really weld the key?" "Dr. Ning, you're about the same age as him," Longbing said. "Aren't you an important person in the archaeology world?" Peaceful lowered her voice. "My situation is different from his. In his line of work, one must have many years of experience." However, Longbing did not speak to her. Charlotte heard Peaceful and Longbing's conversation, but he did not care about Peaceful's suspicion. His mind was focused on the compass. The size of the compass was about the same as the feng shui compasses used by traveling Taoist priests. It was divided into 3 layers. It looked like a round biscuit. There was a gold needle on the surface of the compass, but it had stopped moving. The surface of the compass had weird patterns. They were symmetrical, but it was hard to tell what they meant. Xia Lei's left eye twitched slightly, and the situation in the middle of the compass entered his line of sight without any concealment. The middle layer of the compass had hundreds of gears and shafts of different sizes. Some of the gaps between the gears had dirt that was hard to see with the naked eye. In the end, he looked at the bottom of the compass. He saw 2 words, Emperor Yongle. Chapter 21. Yongle Emperor was referring to Emperor Zhu Di. He was a very famous historical figure. The Ming dynasty he ruled was at its most prosperous, so it was called the Yongle Golden Age. However, Xia Lei couldn't guess the relationship between the compass and Emperor Yongle based on the knowledge he had learned from history textbooks. He couldn't even guess what the compass was used for. "Master Lei, can you fix this compass?" Huang Weigua's voice interrupted Charlotte's thoughts. "It is a bit troublesome," Charlotte said, "but I can try." Huang Weigua said, "This compass is very important. Its value is hard to estimate. What I want is not a perfunctory answer. I want a definite answer." "Master Lei, are you confident?" Charlotte did not feel any pressure, but after hearing him say that, he felt a lot of pressure. He thought to himself, "There's no need to say more about the importance of this compass. It's probably the only one in the entire world. If I make a mistake, won't I be in big trouble? Should I say no or agree?" At this time, Peaceful said, "Master Lei, you have to think this through. Miss Long recommended you, so don't bring her any trouble. If you can do it, then you can do it. If you can't, then you can't. We want a 100% guarantee, not even a 99% guarantee." At this time, Charlotte understood. He was there because of Longbing. Longbing had recommended him to Huang Weigua and Peaceful, who were in charge of this. Perhaps the 2 of them had some sort of guarantee. If he messed things up, Longbing would most likely have to bear the responsibility. Charlotte could not help but look at Longbing. You want to know why Longbing had recommended him? Longbing's face did not show any emotion. She was always so cold. "How about this, Master Lei? We will give you half a day," Peaceful said. "Think about it. If you can't do it, then give us an answer." She did not seem to want to believe Charlotte, who was so young, could be so skilled. She did not believe he could fix the compass. This female professor is really unfriendly. Xia Lei's gaze moved to Peaceful. Perhaps he thought she was not friendly, but his left eye twitched. Peaceful's clothes evaporated like mist. She looked at Peaceful. Her clothes evaporated like mist. This female doctor looked cultured and thin, but her body was extremely well built, especially her breasts and buttocks, which gave off a tight and fleshy feeling. They were of moderate size and were very alluring. There was a pattern in the shape of a maple leaf on her, but the color and shape were very realistic, but it was not a tattoo. It was a natural birthmark. This birthmark left a deep impression. So, it's a woman who hides her strength. I really couldn't tell. Apart from me, who else would be able to see such an interesting birthmark? Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. His jade eyes had the intention of punishing tranquility. Now that the punishment was over, his mood became better. What are you laughing at? Peaceful asked. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. It's nothing. I think you don't believe me. I understand your concern. How about this? You guys can find some similar parts for me to try. If you think I can do it, I will take this job. If you guys don't think I can do it, find someone else. Huang Weigua and Peaceful looked at each other. They seemed to be communicating with their eyes. Charlotte saw that, but he did not say anything. At this moment, he had a very comprehensive understanding of the situation. He guessed that before Long Bing recommended him, Huang Weigua and Peaceful had already found the best welding engineer. That person did not dare take the job. Long Bing recommended him because he had welded the key previously. She had some confidence in her heart. Peaceful and Huang Weigua saw how young he was. They did not believe he had the ability to do it, so they wanted him to back off. Charlotte had his own thoughts. Although this job was tricky, it was a good opportunity. Fixing the compass would make him famous. In the future, business would come to him. If he refused, he would lose such a good opportunity. At the same time, he would waste Long Bing's kindness. Therefore, he had already made up his mind to accept this business. Huang Weigua and Peaceful seemed to have exchanged looks. Huang Weigua said, Master Lei, let's do as you say. I will find a welding machine and some small parts for you to try. Then, we can decide whether or not you can fix the compass. Charlotte nodded. No problem. Huang Weigua left the showroom. Long Bing walked next to Charlotte. Is it okay? Charlotte said, It's okay. Don't worry. Long Bing nodded. That's good. Wait here. I will make a call. Okay. Charlotte watched Long Bing leave the showroom. Her back was very beautiful, but he had always been in awe of her and never had the desire to use his left eye to see through her. Peaceful walked next to her heart. She had a faint smile on her face. Master Lei, how old are you? Charlotte looked at her. Almost 24. What about you? He was actually a little over 23, but for some reason, when Peaceful asked him about his age, he wanted to say older. You are only 24? Peaceful said with a smile. I'm 2 years older than you. At 26, she was already a Ph.D. in archaeology. She was a very powerful woman, but her youth was probably spent on studying and working. In fact, it was not difficult to see that she was a very simple woman when she revealed her age, because under normal circumstances, women would say that they were very young. Charlotte was not interested in talking about her age. He changed the topic and asked, Professor Ning, what is this compass used for? Peaceful said, To tell you the truth, we do not know. After all, we only found it yesterday. Its discovery overturned our understanding of the Ming Dynasty's manufacturing power. As for what it is used for, we will have to wait for you, the little master, to fix it before we can find the answer. After saying that, she stared at Charlotte. Master Lei, tell me the truth. Can you fix it? Xiao Lei smiled. If I were an old man in his 50s or 60s and came with a stack of professional certificates, would you believe that I could fix this compass? Peaceful said, Master Lei, I don't mean anything else. Never mind. If you can fix this compass, I will give you a banner. She really did not have much social experience. In a situation like this, other people would have said they would buy a meal or give a nice gift, but she thought of giving a banner. Her way of thinking was different from most women. Xiao Lei suddenly thought of the maple leaf-shaped birthmark on her perky, but he couldn't help but wonder if that was the most special part of her, right? Seeing that Charlotte did not say anything, Peaceful added, I am serious. Charlotte smiled and said, Thank you. If you give me a banner, I will hang it on the wall of my workroom. If someone goes in, they will see it. Serenity seemed to be imagining her banner hanging on the wall, and then her lips curled into a beautiful smile. By the way, Professor Ning, Charlotte said, do you know what Miss Long does for a living? I don't know, Peaceful said. I was just asking you that question. Charlotte's heart sighed. He was disappointed. Long Bing's identity and profession had become a problem that troubled him. If he did not find an answer, he would not be able to get rid of this problem. At this time, Peaceful suddenly frowned. She held her stomach and squatted on the ground. Charlotte quickly grabbed her arm. He did not let her fall to the ground. He nervously asked, "Professor Ning, what's wrong?" I, my stomach hurts. Ouch, ouch. Peaceful looked like she was in pain as she moaned. In the blink of an eye, her face was pale. There was no blood. "Professor Ning, are you sick? I will call the ambulance." "Hold on. Don't be afraid." Charlotte was scared by her. He took out his phone to call the ambulance. Peaceful grabbed his hand. "Don't. It's an old problem. I won't be able to sleep." Charlotte was concerned. "You're like this, and you say you're fine? You should go to the hospital. Let me make the call." "There is no need. I am fine. Professor Huang is coming back. I want to see you show off your skills." Although she said she was fine, when Peaceful spoke, she frowned. She gritted her teeth. She looked like she was having a hard time holding it in. "Is your health more important? Or is your job more important?" Charlotte wanted to persuade her to go to the hospital. "Both. Both are important." Peaceful grabbed Xiao Lei's arm and slowly stood up. When she was halfway up, she squatted down again. Her forehead was covered in sweat. She had a wry smile. Help me lie down on the sofa." Xiao Lei looked at Peaceful and Peaceful. Xiao Lei put one arm around her slender waist, and the other hand reached into the crook of her leg. He lifted her up and then walked to a set of sofas in the corner of the showroom. Peaceful looked thin, but when he carried her, she was heavy. She looked like she weighed 100 to 110 pounds. That weight proved that she was the kind of woman who hid her exciting content in her clothes. Peaceful did not expect Xiao Lei to do that. She was lying in Xiao Lei's arms. His strong chest and arm muscles pressed against her soft skin. His manly scent made her feel very nervous. She did not know what to do. Her pain was not so obvious. Her pale face had a bit of red. Charlotte put Peaceful on the sofa and asked with concern, "Are you feeling better?" Peaceful avoided Charlotte's eyes. "I feel better. It's an old problem. It's okay. I will be fine after lying down for a while." Charlotte was concerned. "What old problem? Did you go to the hospital for a checkup?" "It's a woman's problem. You wouldn't understand even if I told you." Peaceful looked embarrassed. She said it was a woman's problem, so Charlotte was too embarrassed to keep asking. He said, "I still think you should go to the hospital for a checkup. You looked really scary. If it's not an old illness like you said, delaying the treatment of the disease is a very bad thing." Peaceful had a smile on her face. "You are a very careful person, and you care about people. Are you always so nice and careful to girls?" Charlotte smiled awkwardly. "I have a sister. I usually take care of her. Maybe it is because of that." "I'm not your sister." Ouch! While she was talking, Peaceful's stomach suddenly hurt again. She curled up on the sofa. Her hands were clumsy and weak as she rubbed her stomach. She looked more pained than before. If my mom was here, it would be great. Every time she rubbed my stomach, it would not hurt anymore." Charlotte was shocked. He forced himself to reach out his hand. Chapter 22. It was the first time they had met, and a man was touching a woman's stomach. That was awkward, but it was a special situation. Charlotte did not want to see her in pain. He wanted to do something to reduce her pain. Her stomach was very soft, and under the thin cloth was a piece of soft and delicate skin. It exuded a faint warmth and a faint body fragrance. All of this made him even more nervous. His hand froze when he touched her stomach. He had thought things were too simple, but when he touched her stomach, he realized things were actually very complicated. "You?" Peaceful froze. She looked at Charlotte with shock. "Well, you could just treat me as your mother," Xiao Lei said, and then he braced himself and gently rubbed her belly. Peaceful did not reject it, but she looked more nervous than Charlotte. Charlotte's hand seemed to have some magical power. It not only took away her pain, but it also gave her a strange feeling. That strange feeling made her quietly excited and quietly shy. She made a strange noise in her throat. The sound was low and muffled. Her expression was strange. She looked like she was in pain, but she also looked happy. "Are you still in pain?" Charlotte asked with concern. "No." Peaceful's answer was very vague. It was all because of Xiao Lei's hands and his meticulous care that she had lost her sense of propriety. Peaceful's ambiguous answer deepened Xiao Lei's worry. He suddenly had an idea. I wonder if my left eye's power can see inside her stomach and find the source of her illness? He thought, if it is serious, I will have to take her to the hospital, regardless of whether she agrees or not. Seeing through a person's body was much more difficult than seeing through a person's clothes. Seeing through a person's clothes was like running on a track with running shoes. He could easily cross the track and reach the finish line. Seeing through a person's body was like wading through a muddy swamp. It was much more difficult. Therefore, he had to maintain a high level of concentration. If his mind was filled with beautiful women, he would definitely not be able to do it. After making up his mind, Charlotte did not think too much and activated the ability of his left eye. The cloth on Peaceful's body quickly disappeared. It could no longer cover her body. Although he was playing the role of a doctor, the beautiful scenery in front of him still made his heart flutter. Stop, stop. I'm treating her. Don't look anywhere else. At this critical moment, Charlotte shook his head hard to dispel the messy thoughts in his mind. He had an obsession in his heart, and that was to penetrate her lower abdomen and see what was going on inside. Under the influence of this obsession, his left eye continuously extracted energy from his body, strengthening its ability to see through things. His hard work soon had a reaction. The skin on Peaceful's lower abdomen became thin and transparent. Then, it disappeared. The situation inside her lower abdomen appeared clearly in his vision. He saw her small intestine and large intestine. He also saw her kidneys, liver, and spleen. It was a shocking scene. He never thought his eyes could be like medical equipment that could see inside a person's body. Very quickly, his eyes landed on Peaceful's gallbladder. There were a few stones inside the small gallbladder. The inside of the gallbladder was red. It looked like there was inflammation, but it did not look very serious. That seemed to be the reason for Peaceful's stomach pain. Charlotte stopped using his left eye's X-ray ability. After that, his body seemed to be emptied. He fell on Peaceful's body. His face happened to be buried in the softest part. You? Her body was pressed down by Charlotte. The man's scent entered her nose. Peaceful was so nervous that she could die. What? What are you doing? I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Charlotte quickly pushed himself up from her body. He tried to act normal, but the wonderful feeling he had made him blush, and his breathing was short. Peaceful's face turned even redder. She wanted to scold Charlotte, but she could not find the words. Also, after being abruptly pressed down by Xiaolei, her stomach suddenly didn't hurt anymore. She felt weird, but she did not know why. The air seemed to be filled with awkwardness and ambiguity. It was very quiet. At that moment, an illusion suddenly appeared in front of Charlotte's eyes. The gentle and quiet female doctor climbed up from the sofa. She swayed her soft body and danced beautifully. Charlotte shook his head hard, but this time, the illusion did not disappear like he thought it would. It became more real, and there was even interaction. Don't touch there, Charlotte said with pain. Don't touch there. Jiang Rui looked at Charlotte with shock. Her face turned even redder. I didn't move. Peaceful's voice finally made Charlotte realize that he was in an illusion. He pinched his thigh hard. The pain came, and the illusion in front of his eyes disappeared. What's wrong with you? This time, it was Peaceful's turn to worry about Charlotte. Xiaolei took a deep breath and waited for his mind to calm down before saying, It's fine. I didn't mean it that way just now. I just wanted to say. He really did not know how to explain why he had said that, so he changed the topic. Dr. Ning, you really have to go to the hospital for treatment. There are quite a few stones in your gallbladder, and there's also inflammation. If this continues, it will cause lesions. How did you know I have gallstones? Peaceful looked very surprised. Xiaolei was stunned for a moment. Yes, how did he know that she had gallstones in her stomach? He could not tell Peaceful that he looked through her stomach and saw that she had gallstones in her gallbladder. He thought about it and smiled. I have a friend who also has gallstones. Your symptoms are the same as his, so I think you have gallstones too. Professor Ning, this is very serious. You really need to go to the hospital for treatment. I really have gallstones. Peaceful still did not believe him. Charlotte could not tell her, so he said, Most likely. Trust me. Go to the hospital. Peaceful said, Okay. After you fix the compass, I will go to the hospital to get checkup. Then she smiled. You look like a doctor. Charlotte's heart thought, I'm afraid no doctor can be like me. I can use my eyes to find the patient's disease. If I knew how to write prescriptions, I could be a good doctor. At this time, Long Bing and Huang Weiwa walked in. Behind them was a worker from the Archaeology Bureau. He was holding a wheeled micro-precision welding machine. There was a shopping bag and an electronic scale on the welding machine. When the three of them walked in, they looked at Peaceful and Charlotte. What are you guys doing? Huang Weiwa asked. Peaceful, who was lying on the sofa, got up. She looked awkward and nervous. No, nothing. With her reaction, even if it was nothing, she would be treated as something. Charlotte felt awkward. He stood up and said, Professor Ning's stomach is hurting. I'm helping her lie on the sofa for a while. Long Bing looked at Charlotte and Peaceful. Her eyes were special. Fortunately, Huang Weiwa had only asked casually. He did not care what the two of them were doing on the sofa. He waved at Charlotte. Master Lei, the things are here. Come and try it. Charlotte nodded and walked over. The worker from the Archaeology Bureau connected the precision welding machine to the power source. He opened a shopping bag on the welding machine and took out a few small parts. He put them on the floor with the welding rod and pliers. Charlotte looked at the small parts on the floor. The small parts were made of iron. There were gears, connecting rods, and rotating shafts. The workmanship was rough. It looked like they had been removed from a water meter. They all had signs of damage. Some had cracks, and some were broken into 2 or 3 pieces. Is that all? Charlotte did not care. He thought it would be a difficult test. He had not expected it to be so easy. Welding these things was not difficult for him at all. Huang Weiwa said, That's all, but Master Lei, don't think this test is too easy. I have weighed these small parts. I want you to weld them, but they cannot weigh more than 2 grams. Charlotte frowned. Welding things would definitely increase the weight. Huang Weiwa not only wanted him to weld the small parts, but he also wanted him to limit the weight to 2 grams. Such a request was a bit difficult. Master Lei, can you do it? Huang Weiwa looked at Charlotte. It was like he wanted to use his eyes to get the answer he wanted. Peaceful said, Master Lei, it is okay. These are all small parts for testing. I believe you can do it. Huang Weiwa looked at Peaceful with a weird expression. He felt strange. She had been questioning Charlotte's abilities. Why was she encouraging Charlotte now? Charlotte did not say anything. He squatted down and picked up the welding rod and the eye mask. He first tested the performance of the welding pliers on a piece of metal, and then observed the thickness of the weld scar left on the piece of metal. After a while, he picked up a gear that had been broken in half. He placed it on the ground and used the welding rod to weld it. The burning electric arc lit up the showroom. Long Bing, Huang Weiwa, Peaceful, and the worker all turned around. They did not dare look at Charlotte, who was welding. But the 4 of them did not know that Charlotte's left eye was able to see through the eye mask and the electric arc. It went straight to the center of the welding spot. No words could describe the magic of that moment. The eye mask blocked the electric arc that could harm the eyes, but Charlotte's eyes could see through the eye mask. He could clearly see the point of contact between the welding rod and the gear. He did not miss anything. The difficulty of welding was that one could not see the point of contact between the welding rod and the object being welded. If one could see it, and he could even zoom in, how difficult would welding be? Perfect welding. Chapter 23. 5 minutes later, Charlotte put down the welding pliers. He used his left hand, which was wearing a protective glove, to pick up the welded gear. He placed it on the tray of the electronic scale. Huang Weiwa and Peaceful followed. Long Bing and the people from the Archaeology Bureau followed. 4 pairs of eyes fell on the gear that Charlotte had welded. They were curious, then shocked, and finally stunned. The gear that Charlotte had welded was smooth. There was not a single weld scar on the surface. The most impressive thing was that he had not welded it completely. He had welded it spot welded. There were 3 welding spots on a crack. 2 were at the beginning of the crack, and 1 was halfway through the crack. The length of each welding spot was controlled to be about 0.8 millimeters. It was very precise. It was a very smart way to deal with the problem. The 3 spots welded the broken gear, but the overall weight did not increase too much. The most important thing was that the welded gear looked very sturdy. It was not the kind of welded gear that would break with a touch. Quick, wait. Huang Weigua urged the worker he had brought with him. The worker turned on the power of the electronic scale. The screen showed that the gear's total weight was 5 grams. The worker looked at the number of the gear and excitedly said, "Professor Huang, this gear used to weigh 10 grams. Now, it has increased by 5 grams. Huang Weigua's standard was that the weight after welding could not be more than 2 grams. The gear that Charlotte welded had increased in weight by 5 grams. Not only did it meet the standard, but it was also an excellent result. The most shocking thing was that he had welded 3 welding spots. Each welding spot weighed 5 grams. His hand was like a precise instrument. Therefore, it looked like he had simply welded a gear, but based on the data, one could see how good Xia Lei's craftsmanship was. Huang Weigua excitedly grabbed the gear on the electronic scale. It was still a little hot, but he did not seem to feel the heat. He used all his strength to bend the gear that Charlotte had welded. The gear did not move. It was very sturdy. He raised the gear high in the air and then smashed it on the ground. However, the gear was still as good as new, without the slightest trace of cracking. Charlotte smiled and said, "Professor Huang, you asked me to restore a compass from hundreds of years ago. It's considered a precision instrument, and it's impossible for it to have a lot of power when operating, so I chose to use spot welding. If there is no weight requirement, I can burn all the welding, but the weight will increase a lot. In that case, it would definitely affect the accuracy of the compass. Am I right?" "Huh." Huang Weigua hugged Charlotte. He was so excited that he lost his composure. "Master Lei, your craftsmanship is so good that it makes people speechless. Your idea is also very good. The less weight we add, the more accurate the compass will be, and the more likely we will be to uncover the secret of this compass." Charlotte said, "Professor Huang, do you mean that I should do it?" Huang Weigua smiled and said, "Of course, there's no need to continue the test. Actually, if you can fix the key, you have already satisfied our conditions. To be safe, Peaceful and I have decided to test you." At this time, Peaceful said, "Professor Huang, I just thought of a better way." Huang Weigua looked at Peaceful. "What way?" Peaceful said, "Master Lei has a studio, right? He can definitely make the same parts. We can ask him to make the damaged parts again, and at the same time, repair the damaged original parts. If that is the case, we have 2 choices. We can use the original parts, or we could try to use the new parts." Charlotte thought about it and said, "Professor Ning, you mean to make the same materials and the same weight, right?" Peaceful covered her mouth and smiled. "That's what I meant." Huang Weigua clapped his hands. He looked very happy. "Okay, let's do that. Peaceful, I will leave this to you. Bring the parts that need to be repaired to Master Lei's studio. Just like you said, fix the original parts and then make the new ones. With these 2 plans, we can definitely unravel the secrets of this compass." "Leave it to me," Peaceful quickly agreed. "By the way, Master Lei, how much do you want?" Huang Weigua suddenly thought of this. Charlotte smiled and said, "Professor Huang, you can just do whatever you want." Huang Weigua said, "How can I do that? How about this? After you fix the compass, the Archaeology Bureau will pay you $50,000. Is that okay?" "Sure." Charlotte quickly agreed. 50,000 seemed like a generous amount of revenge, but in fact, Xia Lei did not gain anything from it. If Huang Weiguo went to find a high-level welding engineer, he would not have been able to pay that much. Most importantly, even if a high-level welding engineer did it, he would not have been able to do what Charlotte did. So, the one who got the better end of the deal was the Archaeology Bureau, which was represented by Huang Weigua. It was not Charlotte, but Charlotte was not greedy. Lei Ma's studio had not even opened for business, and he had already received $50,000 of business. He was already very happy. His career had just started, and he had never thought that he would become a big fatty in one bite. Huang Weigua said, "Let's not waste time. Peaceful, pack up now. Then, go to Master Lei's studio." "Okay," Peaceful said. Peaceful immediately took action. She put the broken parts and the compass into a lockbox. At this time, Long Bing's phone rang. She quickly walked to the door to answer it. Charlotte looked at Long Bing, who was standing at the door. He thought, she looks very busy. What's she busy with? Did she recommend me to the Archaeology Bureau just because she wanted to? I am done packing, Master Lay, Peaceful said. Let's go. Charlotte nodded. Okay, let me carry the box. Peaceful said, no, let me carry it. I feel safe with it in my hands. Charlotte smiled. What? Are you afraid I will run away with the box? While they were talking and laughing, Long Bing walked in again. She walked in front of Charlotte. I have something urgent to do, so I will not go to your studio. When you are done with this, I will come find you. Okay, if you have something to do, then go do it, Charlotte said. Long Bing did not say anything. She turned around and left the showroom. Seeing her disappear from his sight, Charlotte had a question. When I am done with this, she will come find me. Why is she looking for me? After coming back from Macau, she seems to have her eyes on me. What does she want? Sigh, this is a headache. Master Lay, she has left, Peaceful said. Why are you still in a daze? Let's go. Peaceful urged him. Charlotte awkwardly smiled and followed Peaceful out of the showroom. Peaceful drove to Lay Ma's studio. When she got out of the car, she saw the shop that was still being renovated. Her face looked shocked. Master Lay, is this your studio? The shop in front of her was very different from the big studio she had imagined. Charlotte said, yes, this is my studio. Isn't it written on the signboard? Lay Ma Studio. I thought. Peaceful wanted to say something, but she closed her mouth. Ma Xiaoan walked out. He looked at Peaceful, who was standing next to Xiao Lei. He looked at Xiao Lei again. After a while, he said, Lei, who is this lady? Charlotte said, this is Dr. Peaceful from the Archaeology Bureau. He pointed at Ma Xiaoan and introduced him to Peaceful. This is my partner, Ma Xiaoan. Hello, Master Ma. Peaceful reached out her hand to shake Ma Xiaoan's. Ma Xiaoan also reached out his hand, but then he realized that his hand was full of oil and paint, while Professor Ning's hand was white and tender. He then retracted his hand and smiled honestly. Hee, my hand is dirty, so I'll pass. Serenity retracted her outstretched hand. Girls like to be clean. If Ma Xiaoan used his hand, which was covered in oil and paint, to shake her hand, she would feel terrible. She looked at Charlotte from the corner of her eye. She did not say anything, but her eyes seemed to be comparing them. They were both masters, but one was dirty and fat. The other was bright and handsome, and he was clean. Why were they so different? Charlotte said, Ma Xiaoan, go and tell the decorator that we will call it a day. I need to use the machine. Tell him to come back tomorrow. Okay, I will tell the decorator. There is not much work to do. Ma Xiaoan turned around and went to talk to the decorator. Peaceful said, Master Lei, you have such good skills. You should have a better development platform. This studio is too small. It will bury your skills. Huh? Charlotte smiled and said, a better development platform? I don't know many people. Dr. Ning, why don't you introduce me to someone? We're quite close, right? Don't call me Dr. Ning. I'm 3 years older than you. Can you call me Sister Ning? Peaceful had a smile on her face. She was very gentle and cute. Sure, Sister Ning, Charlotte immediately said. Huh? Peaceful happily smiled and said, although you call me Big Sister, I can't help you with this. I don't know many people, either. I'm just giving you a suggestion. I think you should have a better development. There was no one who did not want a better development, and there was no one who did not want to live a better life. It was not that Charlotte had not thought about a better development platform, but in the current situation, it was useless to think about it. This was a very realistic and very complicated world. Those who were capable might not necessarily live a good life, but those who were incompetent often held important positions and lived very comfortably. He was content. Compared to the days before his eye accident, he was much better now. He had his own life plan. Everything had to be done properly. He had to take it one step at a time. He was not in a hurry. Ma Xiaoan quickly discussed with the decorator. The decorator did not even bother to pack up his tools and materials. After saying goodbye to Charlotte, he left on his three-wheeler. Charlotte took Peaceful into Rema's studio and prepared to start work. Chapter 24. He worked from the afternoon until the sky turned dark. Ma Xiaoan couldn't help much even if he stayed. Plus, he had to open the shop the next morning. So, Charlotte let him go. Charlotte continued to work on new parts with the lathe. In the afternoon, he had welded all the damaged parts of the compass. Now he just needed to work on the last part, and the deal would be done. Peaceful, who had nothing to do, sat in front of Charlotte's desk and read the books Charlotte had brought. She flipped through 2 professional books and picked up a book called Contemporary University German. She looked surprised and said, "Master Lei, are you still learning German?" Charlotte casually answered, "Yes, it is always good to learn more." "Sir, sprechen Sie Deutsch?" Peaceful suddenly asked in German. Xiao Lei's left eye twitched slightly. Suddenly, relevant German words, phonetic symbols, and grammar popped up in his mind. It was very weird. This was the first time he had heard someone speak German, but he understood what Peaceful was saying. Peaceful said, "Sir, do you speak German?" "Sir, sprechen Sie Deutsch?" Peaceful repeated. Her tone was provocative and questioning. "Yes, sir." Clearly, she didn't believe a welder would understand German. Charlotte thought of his sentence. He did not have a book in front of him, but his left eye had German words flashing. His brain had related grammar and phonetic symbols. Then, the words formed a sentence. It was a very complicated and magical process, but it only took a few seconds. Charlotte's lips curled into a smile. He said, "Miss, ich kann in Deutsch, ich spreche nicht sehr gut." He said, "Miss, I can speak German, but my spoken language is not very good." Peaceful looked at Charlotte with shock. She was frozen for a while before she said, "You really know German. Why would you want to learn German? German is a small language. If you want to learn a foreign language, you should learn English. It is much more practical." A few seconds later, Charlotte said, "Mademoiselle, j'ai avais un peu de Fran? Ace." "You." Peaceful could not sit still anymore. She stood up and looked at Xiao Lei with her mouth wide open. "You? Were you speaking French?" Xiao Lei was stunned. Charlotte laughed. "Yes, I said I know a little French." "Oh my God, you are so good," Peaceful said. "I know English and German, but I don't know French. You are better than I am." She looked at Charlotte with a different expression. Xiao Lei said, "I'm not as good as you. I'm just bored and blindly learning. I only know a few simple spoken words. You are so young, and you have a doctorate. You are the really good one. I admire you." Peaceful said, No, no, no. I should be the one admiring you. You are so young, and you have such good skills. You also taught yourself German and French. That means you're a very smart and motivated person. Your positive attitude towards life is already worth learning from." "Huh? Are we going to keep talking like this?" Charlotte laughed. He turned his attention back to the work at hand. Peaceful was still looking at Charlotte. She could not move her eyes away. She thought to herself, funny. When I first saw him, I did not believe him. I even looked down on him, but there are not many people in this country who can do this. Not only that, but he also taught himself German and French. Aside from having one more diploma than him, how am I better than him? In addition to admiration, there was also a trace of shame in her heart. However, what she didn't know was that this was only the beginning of what she was admiring. No one could predict what Charlotte would become in the future. "Okay, it's finally done." Charlotte turned off the machine. He took out a gear that had been processed and looked at it under the light. Peaceful put away her messy thoughts. She moved next to Charlotte and looked at the gear. "Is this the last part?" "Yes, it is," Charlotte said. Peaceful said, "I did not expect you to finish it so quickly. I thought I would have to stay up all night." She smiled and said, "I was going to ask you where I would sleep tonight. You're not thinking of spending the night here, are you? You don't even have a bed here. Even if I wanted to, I would not have a place to sleep." Charlotte wanted to say there was a steel wire bed, but when he said it, he thought it might cause a misunderstanding. He changed his mind and said, "Sister Ning, let me take you home. Are you going home or back to the Archaeology Bureau?" Peaceful smiled and looked at Xiao Lei. "Will you take me home, and then I will drive you home?" Xiao Lei asked. Only then did Xiao Lei remember that he didn't have a car. He smiled awkwardly and didn't mention giving it away anymore. Peaceful said, "Come with me to the Archaeology Bureau. I need your help." Charlotte said, "Do you want to assemble it and make it move tonight?" Peaceful nodded. It is a miracle. I cannot wait to unravel its secrets. Charlotte did not think too much about it. He said, "Okay, I will go with you to the Archaeology Bureau. You want to know where the compass came from and what secrets it held." Half an hour later, Charlotte followed Peaceful to the Archaeology Bureau. This time, they did not go to the exhibition room. Peaceful took him to an archaeology workshop. The workshop was big, but it was full of porcelain, stone carvings, and other relics that were waiting to be processed. The space was small. Peaceful cleaned up the workbench to make some space. She carefully put the compass, the parts that Charlotte had repaired, and the parts that he had worked on with a lathe on the workbench. Charlotte asked, "Sister Ning, are you not going to call Professor Huang?" Peaceful thought about it and said, "It is already so late. Forget it. He will be here tomorrow morning." "Master Lei, I do not know how to work with machines. Can you help me install this compass?" "Of course, no problem," Charlotte quickly agreed. "I will make you a cup of tea," Peaceful said. Charlotte smiled and said, "Sister Ning, there is no need to be so polite. I will make you a cup of tea. You go ahead. I will be back soon." Peaceful walked out. Charlotte looked away from her. He started to assemble the compass. This was his first time doing something like a watchmaker. He had no experience at all, but he had an advantage. With his left eye, he could remember the exact location of all the parts. So, although it was his first time doing something like this, he was very familiar with it. He did it very well. So, although it was his first time doing something like this, he was very familiar with it. When Peaceful returned to the workshop with a cup of poo or tea, Charlotte had already put the last part on the compass. Strangely, when the compass was put on, the gold needle on the face started to move. It pointed north. Charlotte clapped his hands. He smiled and said, "It's done." Peaceful quickly walked over. She looked at the compass on the workbench and happily said, "How can you be so fast?" Charlotte smiled and did not say anything. In fact, to be safe, he purposely slowed down the pace at which he was assembling the compass. If he wanted to be fast, he would have finished while Peaceful was still boiling the water. "It moved. You used the repair parts, right?" Peaceful pushed the glasses on her nose. She could not see what kind of parts Charlotte had used to complete the assembly. Charlotte said, "I used the repaired parts. I think we should try putting on the original parts first. Then, we could try putting on the parts one made. You can decide which one is the best." "You are so careful." "Oh, I forgot to give you the tea." Peaceful remembered the tea in her hands. She put the cup in Charlotte's hands. She could not wait to look at the assembled compass. Xiaolei was not thirsty. After he took a sip of the tea, he put the teacup aside. He moved closer to Peaceful and watched her play with the compass. That's right. Peaceful's body smelled good. It smelled good. She did not notice Charlotte was next to her. He also did not notice that when she leaned forward, her V-shaped neckline revealed a snow-white cleavage. The bright light, the young and beautiful female doctor, the enchanting fragrance, the seductive beauty, and mysterious compass, all these elements mixed together. Xiaolei had a very strange feeling in his heart, as if something was stirring inside his body, and it was hard to describe. "Master Lei, please help me again," Peaceful said. "Put on the parts you made. Perhaps you will get a different result." "No problem." Charlotte put on the parts he had made. This time, it was faster than before. After putting on the new parts, the compass did not move. Peaceful looked at it for a while and said, "This is weird. Why is this happening?" "Master Lei, can I trouble you to change the original parts again?" Xiaolei also felt that it was strange, but he didn't ask any questions. He immediately replaced the original parts. This time, the compass began to move again, and the golden needle pointed toward the north. Peaceful complimented it. "I think this compass looks like it is made of iron, but there must be some special material added to it. It is amazing." Charlotte smiled and said, "You guys need to study it. My job is done." At that moment, the door was suddenly pushed open. A familiar face appeared in front of Charlotte and Peaceful. It was Longbing. Her face was emotionless, and her body was cold. She looked at Charlotte and Peaceful. Then, her eyes moved to the compass. "Why are you here?" Charlotte broke the weird silence. "You finished. Of course, I have to come." Longbing walked in front of the workbench. She picked up the compass and turned around to leave. Peaceful was in a hurry. She quickly went forward to stop Long Bing. "Miss Long, what are you doing? You can't take this compass away." Long Bing coldly said, "Whether or not I can take this compass away is not up to you. Your chief does not have a say. Move away. Don't get in my way." "No, no, you can't take it away. You have to make things clear." Peaceful did not want to move away. Long Bing suddenly slashed Peaceful's neck. Peaceful grunted and fell to the ground. Charlotte quickly went forward to hold Peaceful. He did not let her fall to the ground. He was shocked. "How could you do that? She is not a threat to you at all." Long Bing coldly said, "She will wake up in 15 minutes. Take care of her. Our cooperation ends here. Next time I need you to do something, I will contact you." Charlotte looked depressed. "You did not even ask me if I agreed. Also, you told me to fix this compass. I fixed it. Can you tell me what it is used for? Don't ask what you are not supposed to know. Goodbye." Long Bing turned around and walked out the door. She did not say anything else. Xiao Lei held the fainted Serenity in his arms and looked at the empty doorway. He did not move for a long time. Chapter 25. Long Bing appeared, and Long Bing left without a trace. Charlotte seemed to have adapted to this characteristic of hers. Long Bing took away the compass. Whether the Archaeological Bureau would ask her for an explanation or not, he didn't care. 3 days later, the Thunder Horse studio opened. The business was not as good as expected, but it was not bad either. Ma Xiaoan did the ordinary work, and Charlotte did the difficult work. The two had a clear division of labor. After a day's work, they made a net profit of 1,400 yuan, excluding the materials, utilities, and rent. "It's a little," Charlotte said, slightly dissatisfied in his heart. Ma Xiaoan was very happy. "Be content. We didn't do much work, and we earned 1,400 yuan. We used to work on the construction site for a week to earn that much." When they worked on the construction site, the average wage was 100 yuan a day. They really needed to work for a week to earn 1,400 yuan. Now they earned so much in one day, which was already a great improvement. Xiao Lei thought about it and felt relieved. He said, "If the people from the Archaeology Bureau give us the 50,000 yuan, we will have earned more than 50,000 yuan. In the past, it would have taken us at least a year to earn that much. The Archaeological Bureau belongs to the government. They won't renege on their debt. They will give it to us sooner or later." Ma Xiaoan said. At this time, a woman appeared at the door of the shop. She was very young, in her early 20s, with an apple face and big eyes. She wore a checkered short-sleeved shirt. Her huge breasts pushed the fabric high and tight. The buttons seemed to be squeezed at any time. She wore a pair of cheap denim shorts, which outlined her round buttocks, which were quite attractive. The woman had a bundle on her shoulder. The bundle was made of blue cloth and looked old. A white towel was exposed from the corner of the bundle. The towel also looked dirty. With this outfit, people could tell at a glance that she came from the countryside. Charlotte tentatively said, "Excuse me, what can I do for you?" The woman looked a little nervous. "Excuse me, who is the boss here?" She spoke with a Shu accent, so she was most likely from Sichuan. Before Charlotte could speak, Ma Xiaoan pointed at Charlotte and said with a smile, "Sister, this is our boss. Why are you looking for him?" The woman seemed to have mustered up her courage. She looked at Charlotte and clumsily bowed. "Boss, do you need anyone here? I could do everything, wash the dishes, carry the dishes, clean, cook." "This is not a restaurant," Charlotte said with a smile. "We don't need people to wash the dishes. Sorry, you can go to the restaurant and ask." The woman bit her lip and didn't bother him anymore. She turned around and left. Charlotte's gaze fell on her feet. She was wearing a pair of liberation shoes. Even in the countryside, few women would wear this kind of shoes. Perhaps he was touched by this pair of shoes. Charlotte's heart softened. Then he stopped the woman. "Wait, can you tell me why you are looking for a job?" The woman looked at Charlotte, then avoided Charlotte's eyes and said cautiously, "My father is old and can't work. My brother wants to study, but he has no money. I don't want him to drop out of school, so I came out to work." Speaking of this, her eyes were filled with tears. But I don't have any skills. I asked a few restaurants, but they were all full. It's not the season for factory recruitment. I've used up all my money. I don't know where to stay tonight. You stay. Charlotte interrupted her. I'll give you 3,000 a month, including food and accommodation. Ah, it was not the woman who was looking for a job, but Ma Xiaoan who made a surprised sound. The woman looked at Charlotte gratefully. She was so excited that she couldn't speak. Ma Xiaoan pulled Charlotte aside and muttered, I say, Lei, why did you accept her? I know you sympathize with her situation, but there are too many people in the world who need sympathy. How many can we help with our little strength? Also, even if you want to accept her, you don't have to give her such a high salary. She is a rural girl. She will be satisfied if you give her 1,500 yuan for food and accommodation. Charlotte said, Isn't she going to support her brother's study? We can earn less and give her more. Her family will be better off. What's wrong with that? Ma Xiaoan sighed. He knew the reason why Charlotte suddenly changed his mind and gave the woman such a high salary. That was because her situation was similar to Charlotte's. He didn't agree to recruit people to save money. However, the boss of the studio was Charlotte. Charlotte had made the decision, so he had nothing to say. The woman said, Boss, brother, I'll start working now. What do you want me to do? Ma Xiaoan said angrily, Are you afraid that the boss will go back on his word? Don't worry. Your boss is a good person. He is very kind. He will not drive you away if he agrees to accept you. The woman breathed a sigh of relief and said quickly, Thank you, boss. Thank you, brother. Charlotte said with a smile, You are thanked. You don't have to be so polite. By the way, what's your name? My name is Charlotte. He is Ma Xiaoan. The woman said, My name is Zhou Xiaohong. Then she thought of something and added, Hello, boss Lei. Hello, brother Ma. Ma Xiaoan's heart was originally not very comfortable, but this Zhou Xiaohong called him boss and big brother. Her little mouth was so sweet that it made people speechless. His heart was also comfortable. What's more, Zhou Xiaohong was a young and beautiful rural girl. As a man, he couldn't always target her, could he? That would be too ungentlemanly. Don't you have a place to stay? Charlotte asked. Zhou Xiaohong gently lowered her head and said embarrassedly, Well, my money ran out. The hotel owner kicked me out this morning. Charlotte thought for a moment and said, Why don't you stay in the hotel tonight? There's a wire bed in the hotel. I will order takeout for you later. You can make do with it. When you settle down, I will think of a way to help you. Boss Lei, you are so kind. Thank you, thank you. Zhou Xiaohong kept thanking him. Charlotte said with a smile, See, you are doing it again. Don't be so polite in the future. Zhou Xiaohong smiled awkwardly and then said, You don't have to order takeout for me. Just give me a box of instant noodles. Charlotte said, How can that be? Xiaoan, go to the Sichuan restaurant across the street and order takeout for her. I will help her make the bed. Oh, Ma Xiaoan responded, but he went to Charlotte's side and whispered, Don't you have an empty house? Take it to your house. Hee hee. Charlotte stepped on Ma Xiaoan's foot and said, What nonsense are you talking about? Get lost. Ma Xiaoan bared his teeth and ran to order takeout for Zhou Xiaohong. He was actually joking casually. He knew that Charlotte was not that kind of person. He was not that kind of person either. Otherwise, he and Charlotte would not become friends. Charlotte opened the wire bed and spread the cotton and blanket on it. This wire bed was left by the former owner, Grandpa Jiang. He bought new bedding and originally planned to sleep here when he worked overtime. He did not expect that on the first day of the studio's opening, there would be a village girl. It was just right for her to use. Boss Lei, how can I let you make the bed for me? Let me do it. When Charlotte was making the bed, Zhou Xiaohong pushed him away. Looking at her dexterity, Charlotte was also thinking about what work to arrange for her tomorrow. 3,000 yuan for food and accommodation. Although he sympathized with her, he could not give it to her for free. She also had to work. He secretly said in his heart, the work of receiving guests will definitely be handed over to her in the future. But this work is too little. It is better to teach her some skills. She is so young and learns fast. In less than 2 months, she will be able to do it independently. Yes, let her do some work like receiving guests and cleaning first. When she is free, let her learn welding and lathe. Boss Lei, these are all new. How can I sleep in them? Zhou Xiaohong made the bed, but she did not dare to sleep in it. Charlotte said with a smile, "What's there to be embarrassed about? You can stay here for the time being. When the conditions are better, we can make other plans." "In, Bosley, you really are a good person," Zhou Xiaohong then said. "I didn't say thank you." Charlotte was tickled by her simple action. He said, "Even if you said it, it's nothing. I just don't want you to be too polite." "All right, I have an idea. I don't know if you're willing." "What idea?" Zhou Xiaohong became inexplicably nervous. She subconsciously pulled at her half-open collar, as if she wanted to hide some secret. It was normal for her to have such a reaction when a man who was still considered a stranger suddenly brought up an idea and even asked if she was willing. Charlotte found her more and more interesting. He said with a smile, "I want you to learn some skills. Welding and lathe. As long as you learn them seriously, you will have a skill to make a living even when you return home. Are you willing?" "So that's what you were talking about? What did you think I was talking about?" Charlotte looked at her with a smile. Zhou Xiaohong's face suddenly turned red. She hurriedly said, "No, nothing. Of course, I'm willing. I've always wanted to learn a skill, but I don't have the money to pay for it. My hometown is in the countryside, and we don't have any capable relatives, so I've never been able to do it. Bosley, if you're willing to teach me, I will definitely learn it well." Charlotte said, "Then it's decided. When there are guests tomorrow, you can greet them, pour a glass of water, and ask them what they want to do. When you have nothing to do, you can learn from me and Ma Xiaoan." "Ma, brother Ma, are you willing to teach me?" Zhou Xiaohong looked timid. "I'm a little afraid of him." At this time, Ma Xiaoan came in with a takeout. "What are you afraid of? Will I eat you?" Only then did Zhou Xiaohong see Ma Xiaoan come in. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, No, brother Ma, I didn't mean that." "I mean," Ma Xiaoan handed the takeout to Zhou Xiaohong and said with a smile, "Don't worry. As long as you're willing to learn, I won't hold anything back. I'll teach you everything." "Thank you, brother Ma." Zhou Xiaohong was relieved. Ma Xiaoan said with a smile, "Also, I'm a kinder and cuter person than your boss Lei. You'll find that I have countless advantages in the future." Zhou Xiaohong looked at Ma Xiaoan and then at Charlotte. She pursed her lips and said nothing, but she obviously didn't think so in her heart. This could be distinguished from the way she looked at Ma Xiaoan and Charlotte. After settling Zhou Xiaohong down, it was already dark when Charlotte and Ma Xiaoan left Le Ma studio. Ma Xiaoan rode his broken motorcycle and sent Charlotte home. Then, he rode the motorcycle away. When he returned home, Xia Shui had already prepared the meal and was waiting for him to eat. After dinner, Charlotte turned on the TV and chose an English channel to watch. Xia Shui, who was cleaning up the dishes, looked at Charlotte curiously. "Brother, when did you like to watch English channels? Can you understand them?" Charlotte smiled. "Of course, I can understand them." Xia Shui snorted. "I don't believe it. I don't understand them very well." "How can you understand them?" Charlotte didn't explain. He watched the TV and learned to speak English from the announcer on the TV. He had memorized all the English words and related grammar. What he lacked was only the ability to speak English. Once he broke through the difficulty of speaking English, there was no doubt that he would be a humanoid translator. Of course, he couldn't tell this secret to Xia Shui. Chapter 26. It was getting late at night. Xia Shui had already returned to her room to sleep, but Charlotte was still sitting on the sofa, watching the English program on TV attentively. It was difficult to describe his learning ability in words. As long as the characters in the TV program said an English sentence, his left eye would transmit the corresponding words and grammar to his brain. Therefore, no matter how long or how strange the sentence was, it was a simple thing that could be translated in an instant. What was even more terrifying was that his left eye was always recording the dialogue on the TV. The mouth shape and voice of each word were stored in his left eye-like data. As long as his brain released the corresponding instructions, these contents would naturally appear in his brain. If his brain was described as a computer, then his left eye was undoubtedly the chip processor of this computer. It's too easy. Learning foreign languages is not difficult for me. I should have no problem communicating with people who speak English as their mother tongue. If it's a paper translation, I may be able to do better. Near midnight, Charlotte was still not sleepy at all. The rapid improvement of his English ability made him excited. Suddenly, there was the sound of a car brake downstairs, and a bright light came from the window. Is Rui back? She came home so late. She must be investigating the case of the theft of the compass. Charlotte stood up from the sofa and walked to the balcony outside the living room. Jiang Rui really came back, but she wasn't alone. There was Su Lang. The car wasn't Jiang Rui's Volkswagen Polo, but a higher-grade Audi Q5. I'm not drunk. I'm really not drunk. Jiang Rui got out of the car shakily, and her speech was unclear. Su Lang supported her and said with a smile, Okay, you're not drunk, but I'll help you go back to rest. He hugged Jiang Rui's small waist like a couple. Jiang Rui pushed Su Lang and giggled. Don't do this with me. Sister is not a fool. No chance. Rui, what are you talking about? Stop fooling around. I'll take you home. Su Lang hugged Jiang Rui's waist tightly and entered the stairwell. As the two of them disappeared from sight, Charlotte frowned. Su Lang obviously took advantage of the situation. He got Rui drunk and sent her home. It would be strange if he didn't have other thoughts. If it was someone else, I wouldn't care. But she's Rui. I can't ignore her. If Su Lang was the man she liked, and they were in a relationship, Charlotte would definitely not intervene in this kind of thing. However, the situation in front of him was obviously not like this. Seeing the girl who played hide-and-seek with him in the mud was about to be humiliated, how could he stand by and watch? Charlotte left the balcony, went downstairs, and ran straight to Jiang Rui's house. Jiang Rui's house was on the first floor, and the stairs were only halfway up. When Charlotte arrived at the door, it was already closed. Even through the door, he could vaguely hear Jiang Rui's muttering and Su Lang's voice. No, I don't want you here. I can take care of myself. I'm not drunk, Rui. You reek of alcohol. Can I take off your clothes? I'll help you take a bath and then have a good sleep. It was Su Lang's voice. Charlotte cursed in his heart for being shameless. His left eye twitched slightly, and the situation in the house suddenly entered his vision. Jiang Rui was lying on the sofa. Su Lang, who had just helped her lie down, squatted down again and reached out to take off Jiang Rui's shoes. That kid held onto one of Jiang Rui's sparkling and translucent ankles with a lecherous smile. Then he moved closer to Jiang Rui's jade-like feet and took a whiff, looking very intoxicated. Leave. Jiang Rui used her leg to kick Su Lang, but her entire body was limp and powerless. Her resistance was of no use at all. Su Lang had no intention of leaving. He put down Jiang Rui's feet and reached out to unbutton Jiang Rui's police uniform. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. A hurried and rough knocking suddenly interrupted Su Lang's steps. Su Lang looked back at the door behind him, but he didn't get up or make a sound. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. Su Lang's brows immediately furrowed. The guy outside the door seemed to be deliberately going against him. However, he was very good at forbearance. He pretended not to hear the knocking and just looked at the door. Who is it? Jiang Rui said vaguely. Su Lang then reached out and covered Jiang Rui's mouth. Jiang Rui struggled for a while, but she couldn't break free from Su Lang's palm and couldn't make a sound. All of this didn't escape Charlotte's eyes. He also understood Su Lang's intentions. That guy obviously wanted to create an illusion that there was no one in the room. After waiting for a long time and no one knocked on the door again, Su Lang reached out to Jiang Rui's chest. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. The knocking sound came again. Fuck, who is it? Su Lang couldn't hold it in any longer. The guy outside the door was simply deliberately going against him. When the door opened, Su Lang was immediately stunned. Outside the door stood the person he didn't want to see the most, Charlotte. Charlotte looked at Su Lang coldly and didn't say anything. Su Lang quickly calmed down and revealed a good-looking smile on his face. Yo, it's Master Lei. What's the matter? It's nothing, Charlotte said. Nothing? A trace of anger appeared on the corner of Su Lang's mouth, but it disappeared in the blink of an eye. His face still maintained that good-looking smile. If there's nothing else, then go back. I still have to discuss work with Rui, so I won't be calling you. Charlotte suddenly laughed. Master Lei, what are you laughing at? On the surface, Su Lang looked friendly, but in his heart, he was already cursing. Charlotte said with a smile, Inspector Su, I've seen a lot of shameless people, but it's the first time I've seen someone as shameless as you. Su Lang's face suddenly changed, and he became angry. Surnamed Xiao, what did you say? Say it again. Charlotte said, Didn't I say it clearly enough? Then listen carefully. I'll say it again. I said, You're shameless. Su Lang suddenly raised his fist. Charlotte didn't even blink. Inspector Su, you have to think clearly before you make a move. If you make a move tonight, either you cripple me, or I'll cripple you. Don't think that I'm afraid of your identity, and I'm not afraid of making a big deal out of it. Su Lang's fist slowly lowered again. In fact, he was also very clear that tonight's matter was because he made Jiang Rui drunk, and then prepared to take Jiang Rui's body. If such a matter were spread, the one who would suffer would definitely be him, Su Lang, and not Charlotte. If you don't want to make a move, then get lost. Don't let me see you again. Charlotte said. Su Lang pointed at Charlotte's nose. Okay, you have guts, let's wait and see. Bah! Xiao Lei spat a mouthful of saliva on the ground. This was his response. Su Lang left angrily, and when he was driving, he accidentally hit the flower bed. Even from a distance of almost 10 meters, one could hear him cursing something. His demeanor had long been lost. Charlotte closed the door, walked to the sofa, and looked at Jiang Rui speechlessly. Are you a pig? You drank with that kind of person and got drunk. Fortunately, he was sending you home. If he had gotten a room with you outside, you would have been ruined by him. With Su Lang's identity, he definitely wouldn't dare to casually get a room in a hotel. This could also be considered Jiang Rui's luck. Jiang Rui opened a pair of sleepy, drunk eyes. She looked at Charlotte, and a smile appeared on her face. Huh? Am I seeing things? Isn't this little Lei from next door? Charlotte, little Lei, what are you trying to do? I want to beat you up. Charlotte said impatiently. You're still so bad. Jiang Rui giggled. But I forgive you. I forgive all the mistakes you've made. Ha. Charlotte sighed. I can't talk to you like this. Go to sleep. I'm going to sleep too. I can't be bothered with you. I want to drink some water. Jiang Rui struggled to get up from the sofa, but her body didn't have any sense of balance at all. Just as she got up, she fell on the carpet with a thud, her butt sticking up, forming a plump and round shape. The short skirt of her uniform revealed a patch of delicate snow-white skin and a hint of white lace underneath, with obvious dents. This posture was so seductive that no one dared to look straight at her. Charlotte wanted to leave her alone, but seeing her like this, he couldn't bear to. He carried Jiang Rui into her room, and then returned to the living room to pour her a glass of water. After drinking a glass of cold water, Jiang Rui's condition still didn't improve. She blinked her drunken eyes at Charlotte. Why? Why am I on the bed? This was a very simple question, but Charlotte didn't know how to answer. Lazy. Do you want to take advantage of this, sister? Take advantage of you. I'll be thankful if you don't take advantage of me. Charlotte turned around and walked out. Just go to sleep. Don't let your imagination run wild. I want to take a bath. Take a bath. Go wash yourself. Charlotte couldn't wait to leave Jiang Rui's house immediately. Thud! Jiang Rui rolled down from the bed again. This time, it wasn't the upward posture of her, but a herringbone posture with her limbs spread out. Under the open skirt of her uniform, a hint of white lace was vaguely exposed, making people not dare to look straight at it, but wanting to have a panoramic view. I want to take a bath. No, I want to take a bath. Jiang Rui wriggled on the ground, like a boneless white loach. You okay? I owe you my previous life. Charlotte smiled bitterly as he picked her up and went to the bathroom. Just now, when Su Lang wanted to take advantage of her, she still maintained a clear mind, kicking, refusing to give in. Now that Charlotte came, she wanted to drink water and then wanted to take a bath. She didn't treat Charlotte as an outsider at all. What kind of situation was this? Charlotte really didn't think about it seriously. He carried Jiang Rui to the bathroom. Jiang Rui hugged his neck. Her body was full of the smell of alcohol and perfume. She hiccuped and said, "Little lazy, take good care of this sister. When this sister is comfortable, this sister will give you one what? Bonehead." After a drunken hiccup, Jiang Rui finally spoke. Charlotte didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was also very angry. As soon as he entered the bathroom, he put her in the bathtub and slapped her. "But I was kind enough to save you. But you actually called me a dog." This slap brought a crisp sound, and there was a graceful ripple, like the lotus leaves in the pond being blown by the wind. Jiang Rui moaned. The sound was unclear, as if she was hurt, but also as if she was hit on a sensitive nerve. She swayed and grabbed Charlotte's collar, wanting to push Charlotte into the bathtub, while muttering, "If you dare to hit me, I will skin you." Inattentively, one of the buttons on Charlotte's collar was really undone by her. Xiaolei didn't dare to stay with her anymore. He pushed her into the bathtub and didn't even take off her uniform. He directly turned on the shower head and fled the bathroom like he was escaping. Behind him came Jiang Rui's angry voice. "Lazy, you bastard. I will strangle you to death. Just you wait. I will definitely strangle you to death." Charlotte, who had just escaped from the bathroom, froze for a moment. She sobered up so quickly. Was she really drunk or pretending to be drunk? Chapter 27. Early the next morning, Charlotte ate the breakfast that Xia Shui prepared for him and went out to the studio. He deliberately went out 10 minutes earlier to avoid the time when Jiang Rui went out. But he didn't know what happened. When he went downstairs, Jiang Rui was already standing at the stairs waiting for him with her arms crossed. Dressed in a neat summer uniform and a policewoman hat, Jiang Rui stood in the morning with a majesty that she had never seen before. She stared at Charlotte as if she was examining a criminal who stole women's underwear. Charlotte remembered that he spanked her but last night, and he felt a little guilty. He bit the bullet and greeted her. "Rui, good morning. Who are you waiting for here?" "I'm waiting for you," Jiang Rui said. "Are you looking for me for something?" Charlotte asked tentatively. Jiang Rui glared at Charlotte. "Pretend. I see you pretending. Don't think that I don't know what you did last night. If you confess now, I can forgive you." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "You were drunk. Su Lang, that guy, sent you back. He wanted to do that with you. I rushed over to stop him." Jiang Rui's face suddenly blushed. I'm not talking about this. That kid is bad. I know. This is another matter. I'm talking about what happened after that. What did you do after that?" "That kid left, so I left. I didn't do anything." "You lied to me." Jiang Rui suddenly twisted her hips and pointed to the highest place on the left and said, "When I woke up this morning, I found that I was not wearing anything, and there was a palm print here. You said that you stopped Su Lang, and he left. You left too. Then who gave me a bath? Who took off my clothes? Who carried me to the bed and slapped me here?" Xiaolei's forehead was already dripping with sweat. This was really like seeing a living ghost. "It was you, right?" Jiang Rui softened her tone. "Lazy, just admit it. I will forgive all the mistakes you have made." "Charlotte, you didn't just slap me. You touched me too, didn't you? Maybe they even kissed. He even did that, did he? Just admit it. I know you did everything." Jiang Rui continued to probe. Her eyes and expression were like that of a wretched big sister who was coaxing a child with a lollipop. Charlotte couldn't take it anymore. "Stop fooling around. It's not good to be heard by the neighbors early in the morning. I didn't do anything. Am I the kind of person who would do that to you when you're drunk? You must have bathed yourself, undressed yourself, and slept on your own. Then what's with the palm print here?" Jiang Rui pointed at her, but again, looking very embarrassed and annoyed. "Maybe it was a mosquito that bit you, and you slapped yourself." Charlotte braced himself and said, "Is that true?" Charlotte nodded quickly. "I think this is the most reasonable explanation." Then he added, "Besides, if I did that to you, there should be a mark there, right? You don't have a mark, right?" Ba, disgusting. Don't talk about this. Don't you have any shame?" Jiang Rui scolded. Charlotte followed and said, Okay. I want to talk about this. I'm in a hurry to go to the studio. Let's talk another day. Bye. However, Jiang Rui stood in front of Charlotte. Charlotte frowned. What are you doing? If I had known, I wouldn't have saved you last night. I would have let Su Lang do that to you. Jiang Rui stretched out a hand to Charlotte with a beautiful smile on her face. I was actually joking with you just now. I actually came to thank you. Thank you. Shake hands with me and then go do what you need to do. Crazy. Charlotte cursed in his heart, but he still smiled and shook hands with Jiang Rui. After shaking hands, the smile on Jiang Rui's face suddenly disappeared. She tore off a transparent film for one of her fingers in front of Charlotte and sneered. Let me tell you, I have already extracted the finger marks on your butt. I will compare them with your fingerprints. Once they match, you can wait for me to deal with you. Humph. Charlotte was speechless. Jiang Rui turned and left, but Charlotte was still standing there. After a long while, he smiled bitterly and walked out of the neighborhood to take a bus. After getting off the bus, he saw that the door of the studio was wide open before he reached the studio. Zhou Xiaohong was in the shop mopping the floor with one of her breasts. The golden rays of the morning sun shone on the floor and on her body, making her well-endowed body look even more plump and emitting a golden radiance. The scene was truly beautiful. Xia Lei's left eye twitched inadvertently, and then all he could see was white. He then slapped himself and cursed inwardly. It's so early in the morning. How despicable. It wasn't until Charlotte walked into the shop that Zhou Xiaohong realized that Charlotte had arrived. She hurriedly put down the mop in her hands, and with a friendly smile on her face, she said, "Good morning, Boss Lei. I'll go make you a cup of tea." Charlotte said politely, "No need, no need." Zhou Xiaohong still went to make a cup of green tea for Charlotte and handed it to Charlotte with both hands. "Thank you. You should rest for a while. Look at you. You're sweating profusely." Charlotte said, "It's okay. There's still a bit of floor left. I'll finish mopping soon." Zhou Xiaohong picked up the mop and mopped the floor. Charlotte was very happy in his heart. She's really diligent. It looks like keeping her was the right choice. Zhou Xiaohong, who was mopping the floor with her waist bent, reached out her hand to wipe her sweat. Perhaps it was too hot, but she pulled open her collar a little and fanned herself inside. Those two mountain-like places swayed twice with her small hands. It was like a pond in the summer. It was originally quiet and peaceful, but suddenly a gust of demonic wind blew over and set off huge waves. Charlotte moved his gaze away with some embarrassment and just happened to see Ma Xiaoan riding over on a motorcycle. Ma Xiaoan entered the door and said, "Lei, guess who I just met?" "Who did you meet?" Charlotte casually asked. "I met that female professor." "What's her name again?" Ma Xiaoan looked at Charlotte. He had forgotten her name. Charlotte said, "Tranquility." Yes. She's called Tranquility." Ma Xiaoan smiled. "Brother Ma, have some tea." Before Ma Xiaoan opened his mouth, Zhou Xiaohong brought a cup of fragrant green tea. Ma Xiaoan enjoyed it very much. Then, he imitated the tone of the boss and said, "Go do your work." "Okay." Zhou Xiaohong took the mop and went to wipe Charlotte's desk. She wiped very seriously and very energetically. Her hands and breasts moved, swaying back and forth. Ma Xiaoan opened his mouth wide and looked at Zhou Xiaohong, who was busy wiping the desk. He forgot what he was going to say. Charlotte kicked Ma Xiaoan's calf and glared at him. "You said you met Professor Ning. What is she doing?" "She's withdrawing money from the ATM on the street in front." Ma Xiaoan quickly answered Charlotte's question. Then, he walked around Charlotte's body and continued to admire Zhou Xiaohong wiping the desk. That was not enough. He pointed at a place on the desk and said, "Xiaohong, wipe here too. It's dirty." "Okay." Zhou Xiaohong picked up the mop and started wiping. It came crashing over, and the big mysterious object shook even more. It moved left and right. It was very tempting. Charlotte had a wry smile and shook his head. He wanted to kick Ma Xiaoan again, but he did not have the heart to do so. A few minutes later, Peaceful slowly walked over. She had a paper bag under her arm. The paper bag was bulging and thick. It looked like it had a lot of stuff inside. Ma Xiaoan had just mentioned her, and now she was here. Charlotte walked over and greeted her enthusiastically. "Sister Ning, Good morning. How can I help you? Peaceful removed the paper bag from under her arm and put it in Charlotte's hands. This is 50,000. I'm here to give you money. Charlotte was shocked. This is... He suddenly thought back to what Ma Xiaoan had said. Peaceful had withdrawn money from the ATM machine early in the morning, and she had suddenly given him 50,000 as payment. That money was definitely not from the Archaeology Bureau. It was her own money. Peaceful stuttered and said that. Just take it. The Bureau approved it. Our Bureau chief asked me to give it to you early in the morning. If Ma Xiaoan had not seen her withdraw money from the ATM machine, Charlotte would have believed that the money was from the Archaeology Bureau. He tried to ask, Sister Ning, this money is not yours, is it? Peaceful suddenly panicked. No. This money is from the Archaeology Bureau. Don't ask so many questions. Just take it. Her reaction confirmed Xia Lei's suspicions that the money had come from Peaceful's own pocket. After confirming that, he could not accept the money. He shoved the paper bag back into Peaceful's hands and said, Sister Ning, I know this is your money, but I cannot accept it. Plus, they will give me the 50,000 sooner or later. I am not in a rush. Peaceful suddenly put the money back into Charlotte's hands. Master Lei, don't say anything. Don't ask. Just take the money. No, I cannot take it. Take it back. Charlotte put the paper bag back into Peaceful's hands. Peaceful took a step back. She put her hands behind her back. The paper bag fell to the ground, and 5 stacks of money fell out. Charlotte opened his hands. With a wry smile, he said, Sister Ning, what are you doing? Peaceful bit her lips and said, Those people are unreasonable. I went to file a report to ask for your 50,000. They said Long Bing took the compass, so the money should be paid by Long Bing. They told you to go ask Long Bing for it. That woman is so mean. Why would she give you money? You've helped me so much, but in the end, you don't even get paid. I feel bad, so I'm here to pay you. Peaceful seriously said, I am a person with principles. Your loss is related to me, so I should be the one to compensate you. If you do not take it, I will feel bad. Ma Xiaoan interrupted and said, Lei, just accept it. Professor Ning is doing this out of kindness. Xia Lei didn't want to continue this stalemate. He picked up the 5 stacks of money that had fallen to the ground and took out a $100 bill from one of the stacks. Then, he said, I'll only take $100 for repairing the compass. You can take the rest back. If you insist on giving it to me, I'll be angry. Master Lei, Peaceful did not know what to do. Charlotte put away the rest of the wallet and put the paper bag back into Peaceful's hands. He smiled and said, If you treat me as a friend, you can take the money back. Peaceful sighed. You are really? Okay, I will take the money back. I do not want to lose a friend like you. Charlotte laughed. That's right. Ma Xiao, and looked at Zhou Xiaohong. He mouthed to Zhou Xiaohong and said, Your boss is stupid. He is a big idiot. Zhou Xiaohong blinked her big black eyes. She clearly did not understand what the second boss had said. However, she admired Charlotte. Peaceful said, I can take the money back, but I will find a way to make up for your loss. Sister Ning, you really do not have to do this, Charlotte said. Serenity said, Let me finish. My uncle is the person in charge of a state-owned company. He mainly produces some special equipment. Some precision parts need to be imported from abroad. Now, Europe and the United States have imposed a stricter technology lockdown on us. The precision parts and special materials that we could buy before are no longer available. Last night, my uncle was talking to my dad. He has an important order, but because of this, he cannot complete it. I suddenly thought of you. Your skills are so good. Maybe you can make those precision parts. How about I introduce you to my uncle? Charlotte did not expect her to talk about something like this. He was surprised and said, This is a big deal. I do not know if I can do it. You can do it. I have studied your power, Peaceful said. Why don't I set up a time for you guys to meet and try? If you don't try, how do you know you can't do it? Charlotte said, Okay, you set up a time for me to meet with your uncle. It is fine to try. Then it is settled. Peaceful said angrily. Wait for my call. Yeah, I'm going to work. Those guys are going against me. If I'm late, there will be no end to it. Peaceful angrily said, Yes, I'm going to work. Charlotte walked Peaceful out the door. He watched her get in the car and then returned to the shop. Ma Xiaoan laughed and said, "Okay, Lei. I was just calling you stupid. You rejected the 50,000 that was supposed to be yours. I did not expect you to cast a long line to catch a big fish." Charlotte said, "I do not have such thoughts. Professor Ning is an honest person. I cannot take her money." Zhou Xiaohong interrupted and said, "Boss Lei, you're a good person." Charlotte laughed. "I like what you said. Well said." Ma Xiaoan pointed to his desk and said, "Xiaohong, wipe my desk too. Wipe it hard. It's better if it's shiny." "Okay." Zhou Xiaohong then changed her position to wipe the table. She watched as Ma Xiaoan's desk came crashing over. She didn't notice that the second boss's eyes were greedily staring at her swaying breasts. He didn't even blink. Charlotte sighed. He thought it would be better if the studio did not have a desk. Chapter 28. In the blink of an eye, another week had passed. Since the opening, Lei Ma Studio's business had been getting better and better. This had nothing to do with luck, but with craftsmanship. No one could give an exact answer as to how good Charlotte's craftsmanship was, but those who came to him could leave with satisfaction. There was an old saying that good wine was not afraid of a dark alley. Although Charlotte's Lei Ma Studio's location was not good, as Charlotte's reputation spread, business naturally came to them, even without advertisements. Zhou Xiaohong also began to learn craftsmanship, such as welding and lathe processing. She had no foundation and only graduated from junior high school, but her brain was very good. Many things only needed Charlotte and Ma Xiaoan to explain to her, and then she would understand it by doing it. With her diligence and eagerness to learn, Xia Lei and Ma Xiaoan both believed that it wouldn't be long before she could take over some simple tasks. After a busy day, Xia Lei and Ma Xiao were both sweating profusely. Looking at the large pile of work pieces in the cardboard box, Charlotte and Ma Xiaoan looked at each other and smiled. It was a bit tiring, but it was worth it. "I'm exhausted, lazy. Let's go for barbecue tonight, my treat." Ma Xiaoan wiped his sweat with a towel. The oil on his face was stained on the towel, and the white towel suddenly became dirty. Charlotte smiled. "Okay, but I'll treat." These few days, he had another 7 or 8,000 yuan of net income, and he was very happy. This money was certainly not comparable to the money he won in the casino in Macau, but he felt more secure and satisfied with the money. Zhou Xiaohong came over with a wash basin. She wrung out the towel that was soaked in the water and handed it to Charlotte while saying, "Boss Lei, wipe your face." Charlotte took the towel from Zhou Xiaohong, wiped his face, and then said, "Xiaohong, you go tonight. I'll treat you to barbecue. Also, don't call me Boss Lei anymore. Just call me Brother Lazy." "Sure, Brother Lazy." Zhou Xiaohong looked very happy. "I want to eat roast chicken wings, intestines, and beef. Is that okay?" Charlotte smiled. "Of course. You can eat whatever you want." Ma Xiaoan teased, "Little Red, you're so delicious. Why don't I see you gaining weight?" Zhou Xiaohong pouted and said with dissatisfaction, "Brother Ma, you're joking with me again. I'm from the mountains. There's no barbecue in our place. I've only eaten it once when I was in junior high school. I haven't eaten it until now." Ma Xiaoan's mouth had always been slippery, but this time he didn't say anything. He would not joke about Zhou Xiaohong's poverty. "Wait for me, I'll wash my face. I don't want you to bring a big cat out." Zhou Xiaohong didn't notice the change in Charlotte's mood. She was still so happy. Charlotte looked at the shoes on her feet and suddenly said, "Little Red, these days we've been busy with work and didn't take good care of you. Don't take it to heart." Zhou Xiaohong thought she said something wrong and suddenly became nervous. Xia Lei patted her on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Go wash your face, then in and I will take you shopping. Let's postpone the barbecue. Let's go buy some clothes for you first. Oh, and shoes. No, you guys are good enough to me. How can I ask you to buy clothes for me? I'll get my salary and buy it myself." Zhou Xiaohong said. Charlotte jokingly said, "You wear these shoes all day long. They must smell good, right? When you get your salary, the smell will be even better." Zhou Xiaohong was instantly embarrassed, and her apple-like face turned red. She subconsciously moved her feet back, but she had no way to hide her feet. Charlotte said with a smile. Go, go. It's still early. You can still take a bath. Shaoan and I will wait for you outside. Ma Shaoan also said go, go. We'll take you shopping and buy beautiful clothes and shoes. When you come back, you'll be a great beauty. And Zhou Xiaohong's eyes reddened. She turned around and ran into the inner room. She's a good girl, Charlotte said. Ma Shaoan said, I'll see if the water heater is good. Charlotte slapped the back of Ma Shaoan's head. You better behave. Little Red is a kind and simple girl. Don't bully her. Also, she's not suitable for you. Ma Shaoan looked at Charlotte with innocent eyes. What kind of woman is suitable for me? At this time, a coquettish woman with heavy makeup walked through the door. She had white legs and a curvy figure. When she walked, her waist swayed, which was very attractive. A lot of men were looking at her, but she was dismissive of those men. She was not even interested in looking at them. She was very arrogant. Charlotte said with a smile, See, this kind of woman is suitable for you. Ma Shaoan's eyes suddenly fell on the curvy buttocks of the modern girl. He couldn't move his eyes away. Charlotte also stood beside him and looked at the modern girl. Looking at beautiful women was something that every man liked to do. It was just a little appreciation. He suddenly saw more content. The beautiful scenery appeared in front of him. The pearls were round and smooth, plump and perky. Other men had to work hard to see the scenery, but he could see it casually at a glance. This feeling was really refreshing. After looking at it for a long time, there was a feeling of discomfort in a certain part of his body. Charlotte withdrew his gaze. He patted Ma Shaoan's shoulder and said, Shaoan, remember, only such an arrogant woman is worthy of you. Then I have to look at her more. Her buttocks are really sexy. Ha! Ma Shaoan chased after her. He whistled at the back of the modern woman. The modern girl turned around and then flicked a middle finger at Ma Shaoan and was not angry at all. Instead, he smiled with a cheeky look. A red polo car suddenly stopped on the road in front of Lei Ma's studio. The door opened and Jiang Rui, who was in uniform, got out of the driver's seat. Seeing Jiang Rui, Charlotte suddenly remembered the matter that he couldn't clear even if he jumped into the Yellow River. He squatted behind the pillar by the door and said to Ma Shaoan, If she looks for me, tell her I'm not here. What's going on with you? Ma Shaoan looked very curious. Charlotte glared at him and said, Don't ask. Do as I say. At this time, Jiang Rui had already walked to the door of the store. Sister-in-law, Ma Shaoan then changed his words and said, Isn't this Director Jiang? What kind of wind blew you here? Jiang Rui rolled her eyes at him and said, Don't be glib with me. Be careful, or I'll put you in the police station. Where's Lei Zi? Lei Zi, he's not here. Ma Shaoan secretly looked at Charlotte, who was hiding behind the pillar. Jiang Rui pushed Ma Shaoan away and went directly behind the pillar to catch Charlotte. She said, You have a guilty conscience, right? Now you don't even dare to see me? Charlotte said with a wry smile, No, I was just tying my shoelaces. Jiang Rui snorted and said, I watched you grow up. I can tell when you're lying at a glance. Charlotte, but don't worry. I'm not here to pursue that matter this time. Charlotte secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said, Then what are you here for? Jiang Rui said, An uncle who sells vegetables hit my car with his tricycle and didn't pay for it. I'm going crazy. There's a dent in the car door. Hurry up and help me fix it. Charlotte and Ma Shaoan walked to the side of the road and looked at it. It was true. The door of the polo car was dented. Hurry up. I'm in a hurry to go to the police station for a meeting. Jiang Rui urged. Charlotte said, I don't have the equipment to spray paint here. Even if I help you pull up the dent, you still have to go to the car repair shop to spray paint. Jiang Rui said, Of course, I know I have to go to the car repair shop to spray paint, but if you help me pull up the dent, they will charge me a little cheaper. Then she urged, Hurry up. I'm in a hurry to go to the meeting. Charlotte looked at Ma Shaoan and said, What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help Chief Jiang. Ma Shaoan muttered, You're so arrogant without paying. Do you really think you're the boss's wife? Although he complained, he still dragged a welding machine, lowered the voltage, and used the electrode to pull up the dent little by little. While Ma Shaoan was working, Jiang Rui pulled Charlotte aside and said in his ear, "Do you remember the fingerprint?" Charlotte suddenly became nervous. "The results of the comparison will come out soon. Don't you want to say something?" Jiang Rui said. Charlotte didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know what to say. "It's done. Chief Jiang, you could drive it away," Ma Shaoan said. Jiang Rui reached out and pinched Charlotte's waist. "I'll deal with you later. I'm leaving first." Charlotte and Ma Shaoan stood by the roadside and watched Jiang Rui get in the car together. Then they watched Jiang Rui drive away. When she finally disappeared from their sight, they looked at each other. She didn't pay, right?" Ma Shaoan said. Charlotte said angrily, "Why don't you ask her for it?" Ma Shaoan looked at Charlotte. "You don't have to be so ruthless if you want to harm me, right? Ask her for money? You might as well kill me now." At this time, Zhou Xiaohong came out from the inner room. Her black hair was wet. She was still wearing the same old-fashioned clothes, but her underwear was changed into a clean one. She also wore a pair of white socks on her feet. She timidly looked at Charlotte and Ma Shaoan. "I'm done. Can we go now?" Charlotte said with a smile. Let's go. Let's go shopping." The three closed the door and walked along the sidewalk. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on the three. It was a youthful picture. "Xiaohong, what kind of clothes do you like? Brother will help you pick later." Ma Shaoan said. "Jeans and a white sweatshirt." Ma Xiaohong said. "That's so old-fashioned. It doesn't fit the current trend. Brother will help you pick a miniskirt. You'll be beautiful in it." Ma Shaoan urged. Zhou Xiaohong shook her head like a rattle drum. "It's so ugly. I won't wear it." "Lei, say something. What kind of clothes do you want to buy for her?" "This," Charlotte thought. Zhou Xiaohong said. "Whatever Brother Lei buys for me, I'll wear it." "Ah, why?" Ma Shaoan was not happy. Zhou Xiaohong said, "Because Brother Lei is a good person. He won't lie to me." On the road, there was a burst of laughter. This laughter was full of youthful flavor. Chapter 29. Brother Lei Zi, good morning. Zhou Xiaohong, dressed in blue work clothes, stood at the door and greeted Charlotte, who had just arrived at the store. She had an apple face, a good figure, and new clothes. Today, she gave people a feeling of being dazzled. Charlotte smiled. "You're all so early. Are the clothes suitable?" "They're suitable." Zhou Xiaohong turned and smiled. "I'm just a little reluctant to wear it, hee." Charlotte said, "The work clothes are bought for you to wear when you work. Why don't you wear it?" When he walked in the store, he found that Zhou Xiaohong had mopped the floor, wiped the desk, even the tools were neatly placed, and the equipment was wiped. His heart was inexplicably moved, thinking that she must have gotten up early to work. "Little Red, let me teach you how to use the lathe," Charlotte said. He understood Zhou Xiaohong's thoughts. She must want to spend more time learning the craft, so she got up early in the morning to clean the store. Sure enough, when she heard that Charlotte was going to teach her how to use the lathe, Zhou Xiaohong was excited. Charlotte opened the window, fixed a piece of scrap under the drill bit, and then let Zhou Xiaohong operate it. "This time, let's process a nut." And Zhou Xiaohong stood in front of the lathe, but she didn't know how to start. Charlotte stood behind her, grabbed her hand, and taught her how to operate it. The person who taught was very serious, and the person who learned was very devoted. In a time that needed to be observed closely, Zhou Xiaohong's body naturally leaned forward, and her buttocks tilted back, but she suddenly bumped into Charlotte, who was standing behind her. An embarrassing touch occurred. She seemed to have touched something that she shouldn't have touched. Charlotte was also shocked and quickly retreated. The touch was very sensitive, and both of their faces were slightly red. At this time, Ma Xiaoan walked in. He didn't see the embarrassing scene, but he saw the table that had been wiped clean. He said gloomily, "Little Red, why did you wipe the table so early?" Watching Zhou Xiaohong wipe the table was a kind of entertainment and enjoyment for him in Lei Ma's studio. She had wiped the table so early, so how could he enjoy it? Zhou Xiaohong giggled. Her laughter was as clear and melodious as a silver bell. A new day had begun. The work in the morning was very busy, and the three of them only had time to rest when it was almost noon. Peaceful drove to Lei Ma's studio. When she saw Charlotte, she said, "Master Lay, let's go." "Where are we going?" Charlotte asked. Peaceful said, "Did you forget what I told you? My uncle is free today. He called me and asked me to bring you over so that you can meet and talk." Charlotte gently slapped his forehead. He smiled and said, "I've been too busy these past few days. I forgot about that. Wait for me. I'll change my clothes and go with you. I'm dirty. It's not polite to see your uncle." Peaceful smiled. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Charlotte wiped his face and hands. He went into the inner room to change. Lei Ma's studio did not have a place to change clothes. Zhou Xiaohong's inner room had become the place to change. Charlotte walked into the inner room and saw Zhou Xiaohong hanging a red bra, a white bra, and a purple bra. He suddenly thought of the accidental touch in the morning. It felt like it had happened a minute ago, and it was still very clear. He had a wry smile and shook his head. "I really have to find a woman. It's not good to be so sensitive." After changing clothes, Charlotte got into Peaceful's car. Peaceful drove off. "Sister Ning, what's your uncle's name?" Charlotte said, "I'm talking business with your uncle. If I don't even know his name, it will seem like I'm not sincere." Peaceful smiled and said, "Master Lei, are you always so careful in everything you do?" Charlotte smiled and did not say anything. Peaceful said, "His name is Ning Yuanshan. He is the chairman of Dongfeng Heavy Industry." Hearing that, Charlotte was shocked. He knew about Dongfeng Heavy Industry. It was a large state-owned enterprise with a market value of several billion. The boss of such a large state-owned enterprise was looking for a small technician in a small shop to talk business. No one would believe such a thing. But he knew that Peaceful was doing him a favor. Otherwise, Ning Yuanshan would not have been interested in meeting him, let alone discussing any business. "Thank you," Charlotte said. "I know you want to help me." Peaceful said, "Why are you being so polite? My uncle is not the boss of a state-owned enterprise that you think he is. He is a very easygoing person, and he loves this country. He is a very honest man. He is in trouble, and you are the one who can help him solve it. Of course, he wants to see you. In fact, when I told him, he agreed to see you. You know that people at his level are very busy. He only had time today, so he called me to take you to see him." Charlotte said, "I will try my best." "Don't be so humble," Peaceful said. "I know how good you are. I have confidence in you." She suddenly thought of something and said, "One more thing. I went to the hospital for a checkup. Just like you said, I really have gallstones. Fortunately, it was discovered early, so I did not need to have surgery. No matter what, I have to thank you for this matter." Charlotte smiled and said, "Let's not thank each other. There is no need to be so polite between friends." Peaceful nodded. "Yes, there is no need to be polite between friends." Half an hour later, the car drove out of Haizhu City. They arrived at the beach. In the distance, there were many large cranes in the port. There were also factories that were building ships. It was a busy scene. Peaceful drove the car into a special lane. After driving for a few minutes, she saw a large factory standing on a piece of land by the sea. After entering Dongfeng Heavy Industry, Peaceful took Charlotte to a meeting room. She told Charlotte, "I'm going to find my uncle. Wait for me here." Charlotte nodded. "Okay, go ahead. I will wait for you here." After Peaceful left, Charlotte looked around the meeting room. He saw an ink painting of an eagle spreading its wings and looking at a mountain. The inscription on the painting was Ning Yuanshan. Based on the painting, it was not hard to tell that the meeting room was Ning Yuanshan's special meeting room. Ordinary people could not enter. "I am afraid this is because of Peaceful. I owe her a big favor this time. I do not know how to repay her," Charlotte thought to himself. At that moment, a woman walked in. The woman was very pretty. She was wearing a black office lady outfit and a white shirt. She wore a pair of light-colored high heels. She looked serious, but she did not lose her youthful beauty. She was about the same age as Charlotte. When he saw her face, Charlotte froze. He was not a stranger to this woman. She was his classmate in high school. Her name was Qi Jingxiu. Qi Jingxiu was the first woman he had ever liked. He had been in love with her for a whole year. In the end, he had worked up the courage to write her a love letter. For the rest of his life, he would never forget that Qi Jingxiu had read the love letter he had written for her. She had picked up her pen and written a sentence on it. I like boys like Wu Qilong. May I ask classmate Lei, are you that kind of boy? Then, Qi Jingxiu had put the love letter she had written on the blackboard. It made Charlotte the joke of the whole school. If Qi Jingxiu had thrown the love letter into the trash or given it to the teacher, it would not have mattered. She had left a sentence and put on the blackboard. It had hurt him. That year, his heart was broken to the core. Just now, when he first recognized her, the words echoed in his mind. I like boys like Wu Qilong. May I ask classmate Lei, are you that kind of boy? The past events blew through his mind. On the surface, he looked calm. However, Charlotte's heart was unable to calm down. Their eyes met. After a long silence, Qi Jingxiu broke the silence. She pretended to be surprised. Aya, isn't this Charlotte? Why are you here? He wanted to say something, but could not find the words. Charlotte suddenly felt a little funny. That matter had happened several years ago. At that time, he was in the stage of puberty. How could he be nervous when he saw her again? Are you here to apply for a job? Qi Jingxiu probed. Charlotte had calmed down. He smiled. Well, I guess so. By the way, Jingxiu, why are you here? A beautiful smile appeared on Qi Jingxiu's face. I work here. I'm now Chairman Ning's secretary. You're doing well. Congratulations. Charlotte stood up and walked in front of Qi Jingxiu. He extended his hand to Qi Jingxiu. Qi Jingxiu did not shake hand with Charlotte. She deftly turned around and tidied up the magazines on the coffee table. She said, Charlotte, you can't stay here. This is Chairman Ning's exclusive reception room. Those who can be received by Chairman Ning are distinguished people with status. If you're here to apply, you should go to the HR office. Go out and turn left. Walk for about 20 meters and you'll be there. Charlotte froze on the spot. His hand seemed to be frozen. It was very stiff. He awkwardly put his hand down, but he did not leave. He returned to the sofa. Qi Jingxiu's small mouth slightly curled up. Charlotte, you really can't stay here. You're making it very difficult for me. Charlotte smiled. Then don't do anything. Just pretend that I don't exist. Also, please rest assured that my presence here will not affect your work. Qi Jingxiu was a little unhappy. She stared at Charlotte. I say, classmate Xia, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? What on purpose? You're deliberately causing trouble for me, aren't you? Charlotte said with a smile, you're thinking too much. How could that be possible? I don't even know that you work here. Why would I deliberately come here to cause trouble for you? Qi Jingxiu did not believe Charlotte's explanation. She said, I know you're still brooding over that matter. I admit that I was wrong, but we were still young and immature at that time. I refused you for your own good. After that, didn't you study hard? You were even admitted to Kyoto University, although you didn't go there. Charlotte had not thought about the past, but she brought it up. She even made it sound so grand. He could not help but frown. Qi Jingxiu said again, well, go to the HR department. If you really can't find the office of the HR department, I can take you there. You really can't stay here. If you're lucky enough to be hired, I can also arrange a more relaxed position for you. My words here still have some weight. You're my classmate, so I'll definitely take care of you. Thank you for your kindness. Charlotte said, but I'm not here to apply for a job. I'm here because your Chairman Ning asked me to meet. Qi Jingxiu was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, she smiled again. She pointed at Charlotte and said, you? Chairman Ning asked you to meet? Are you kidding me? Chapter 30. Charlotte said, I'm not kidding. Qi Jingxiu looked at Charlotte, her eyes full of contempt. Lei, when did you become such a person? What kind of person have I become? Liar, Qi Jingxiu added. Moreover, the kind of liar who even deceives himself. Charlotte also looked at her, but he just smiled and didn't want to say anything. This meeting was purely accidental. He was no longer the him in high school, but she seemed to be still the her in high school, proud and ruthless. In the face of her doubts and her cynicism, he didn't feel angry at all because it wasn't worth it. Now, he didn't even want to say one more word to her. One more word would make him feel tired and redundant. Charlotte was silent, but Qi Jingxiu thought that she had poked Charlotte's sore spot. She sneered, I'm right? Lei, I'll give you half a minute to leave here and go to the place where you should be. This is not a place where you can stay. If you're still sitting here after half a minute, I'll call the security guards. You don't want me to do that, do you? Charlotte said. Student Chi, I really don't want to talk too much with you. I'm too tired. Let me tell you this, if I leave now, and it's you who drives me away, the director Ning will definitely scold you. It seems that I really have to call the security guards. Chi Jingxiu took out her mobile phone and prepared to make a call. Charlotte was too lazy to explain to her and picked up a magazine to read. At this time, a middle-aged man came in from the door. He was not tall, less than 7 meters, with a fat face and a beer belly. He looked like the kind of person who had a small success in his career and lived an unrestrained life. Dear, what happened? The middle-aged man called Chi Jingxiu dear as soon as he came in, not hiding his love for Chi Jingxiu at all. Xiao Lei was taken aback by the way she addressed him. Chi Jingxiu's words in the love letter he wrote to her suddenly surfaced in his mind. I like boys like Wu Qilong. May I ask, classmate Lei, are you that kind of boy? Is this guy like Wu Qilong in her heart? Charlotte suddenly laughed. He really couldn't help it. If anyone said that this dear friend was Wu Qilong and not Wu Mengda, he would definitely beat that person blind. Who are you? The middle-aged man looked at Charlotte, who was laughing inexplicably, and asked bluntly. Before Charlotte could speak, Chi Jingxiu interrupted. Honey, his name is Charlotte. He's my high school classmate. I think he's here to cause trouble for me today. He refused to leave Director Ning's reception room. The middle-aged man's chubby face darkened. He pointed at Charlotte. Get out. Charlotte smiled and said, Mr. Wu Qilong, please be polite with your words. Wu Qilong? The middle-aged man was stunned. Who is Wu Qilong? Charlotte looked at Chi Jingxiu in surprise. Isn't your lover Wu Qilong? The middle-aged man asked suspiciously. Dear, what's going on? Who is Wu Qilong? When did this Wu Qilong come out? Chi Jingxiu was so angry that she stomped her feet. Wu Qilong is a Taiwanese singer. You are a disgrace to me. The middle-aged man's fat face immediately turned the color of a pig's liver. Only then did he realize that Xiao Lei was deliberately teasing him. He walked towards Xiao Lei, ready to kick him out. At that moment, Peaceful suddenly walked in from the door. Then a tall, well-mannered old man also walked in. Upon seeing Peaceful and the old man, Chi Jingxiu and the middle-aged man nodded to greet them. Director Ning. The tall old man was the chairman of Dongfeng Heavy Industry, Ning Yuanshan. Chi Jingxiu and her husband were so respectful, but he only nodded his head lightly. Peaceful said, Second uncle, this is Charlotte, Master Xia. She then said, Master Lei, this is my second uncle, Ning Yuanshan. Charlotte stood up from the sofa. He reached out his hands to shake Ning Yuanshan's. He said, Hello, Director Ning. Ning Yuanshan also reached out his hand to shake Charlotte's hand. Charlotte was a junior, so there was no need for him to reach out his hands. After shaking hands with Charlotte, Ning Yuanshan said, Master Lei, when Peaceful told me about you, I was very interested in you. I'm very happy that you are here. Let's sit down and talk. Charlotte said, Okay, Director Ning. Please sit. Ning Yuanshan smiled. Charlotte's politeness made him feel good. He looked at Chi Jingxiu, who was standing next to him in shock. He frowned and said, Why are you still standing? Hurry up and serve Master Lei some tea. Chi Jingxiu came back to her senses and quickly went to make tea. Her cheeks were hot. She thought about how she had spoken to Charlotte in that tone. Now, she was being yelled at to make tea for Charlotte. That was a slap in the face. No matter how she thought about it, she couldn't understand how a poor brat that she looked down on back then could become so successful. Ning Yuanshan looked at Chi Jingxiu's husband and said, Lu Shuai, why are you still standing here? Don't you need to do anything? I'm going to do something, Director Ning. The middle-aged man, who was called Lu Shuai, moved faster than the wind. Chi Jingxiu brought 3 cups of tea over. She placed 1 cup in front of Ning Yuanshan, 1 in front of Peaceful, and 1 in front of Xiao Lei. She placed 1 in front of Xiao Lei. When she put down the teacups, she looked at Charlotte. Her eyes were complicated. Charlotte coldly said, Thank you. You are welcome, Chi Jingxiu said awkwardly. Charlotte did not speak to her anymore. Ning Yuan Shan said. Secretary Qi, take a pen and paper and record the conversation. Make a note for me. Yes, Director Ning. Qi Jingxiu turned around to get a pen and notebook. She was a very smart woman and could guess a lot of things, but this time, she felt that her IQ wasn't enough. She couldn't figure out what the dignified Chairman Ning would discuss with Xiao Lei. Before Qi Jingxiu was in position, Ning Yuan Shan said, Master Lei, I like to be direct. I hope our conversation will be like this. Charlotte smiled and said, No problem, Director Ning. If you have something to say, just say it. Okay, I will say it, Ning Yuan Shan said. Ning Yuan Shan said, I believe Peaceful told you something before you came, so I won't repeat it. I just want to ask you this. If I gave you a very important order, would you be able to complete it? That's right. Charlotte thought about it and said, That depends on the quality of the parts and the quantity. My studio is small, and I only have 3 people. I cannot complete a large order. Ning Yuan Shan smiled and said, You're quite an honest person. I met a lot of people talking about how big my company is, how many employees I have, and so on. But you said you only have 3 people. But I like honest people like you. Charlotte smiled politely. He just listened and did not interrupt. At this time, Qi Jingxiu took out a notebook and a pen and sat behind Ning Yuan Shan. She glanced at Xiao Lei with a smile on her face, looking very gentle and quiet. Although he knew what kind of woman she was, aside from all the negative things, she was definitely a beautiful woman with a good temperament. Back then, Charlotte had been attracted to her classic temperament. But he was not the person he was back then. No matter how beautiful she was, he could not find the feeling that made his heart beat faster. He did not feel anything, not even a little. Master Lei, you don't have to worry about this. Ning Yuan Shan went on to say, We have never had a large order for precision parts. In the past, we imported the precision parts we needed from Europe and the United States. Back then, there was not such a strict technology lockdown. Now, there is a very strict technology lockdown policy. We cannot buy the things we need. At the same time, the precision manufacturing industry in our country is very backward. This is not good for our country's economic development and national defense. Ning Yuan Shan suddenly interrupted Ning Yuan Shan. Second uncle, you're starting to talk big again. This is the 3rd time you've said this to me. Ning Yuan Shan laughed and said, You little girl, you have been spoiled by me and your old man. You have no manners. Second uncle. Ning Yuan Shan looked unhappy. Ning Yuan Shan smiled and said, Okay. I don't want to talk about you. Let me get down to business. Master Lei, it is like this. Our company urgently needs a batch of precision parts. We do not have many, but the quality and precision requirements are very high. We have already found many machinery manufacturing companies. They have the equipment, but no one can make them. Even if they manage to make them, they will not pass muster. If you have the ability, our company will provide you with the processing equipment and materials you need. In addition, we will provide you with samples. You don't need to know where these parts are used. You just need to make a batch according to them. How about it? Are you willing to try? Charlotte said, No problem. I am willing to try. Okay, I like young people with courage, Ning Yuan Shan said. Now, tell me your requirements. What do you need? Charlotte said. If I can do it, then I will tell you. I want to see the original parts that need to be processed and your processing equipment. Is that okay? Ning Yuan Shan said, No problem. I will take you there now. He stood up and walked away. He then told Qi Jingxiu, Secretary Qi, You do not need to write it down. Go to the workshop and tell them to prepare. Okay, Chairman Ning. I will go now. Qi Jingxiu did not dare hesitate. She quickly left the meeting room before Ning Yuan Shan left. Outside the door, Ning Yuan Shan walked in front. Charlotte and Peaceful followed him to a workshop. Peaceful quietly said, Master Lei, Secretary Qi looks at you strangely. Why? Do you know each other? Her observation skills were quite good. Charlotte quietly said, I know her. She was my classmate in high school. I see. Peaceful's face had a sly smile. She looked at you like that. I guess there must be some story between you two. Charlotte laughed. He did not want to talk about this, so he changed the subject. By the way, Sister Ning, why didn't your second uncle ask me what kind of talent I have? He should have asked. It is not normal for him to believe me so easily. One side was a large state-owned enterprise, and the other side was a small workshop on the street. The two of them were discussing business, and they had done it so quickly. This kind of thing could only happen in a TV show. In the real world, this was not normal at all. Peaceful was silent for a moment. Then, she said, "Do you really want to know?" Charlotte was shocked. "Of course. Your second uncle is so nice to me. I have been thinking about this, but I do not understand." Peaceful suddenly smiled. "Okay, I will tell you the reason. My second uncle did not agree. He said I was messing around. I told him you were my boyfriend, so he agreed. He even asked you to meet him." Charlotte was speechless. Peaceful's face turned red. I was lying to my second uncle. Don't take it seriously." What could Charlotte say? Chapter 31. This was a realistic world. There was no such thing as a pie falling from the sky for no reason. Even if there was a pie falling from the sky, it would have been purposely dropped from above. If Peaceful had not lied about Charlotte being her boyfriend, Lin Yuanshan would not have given Charlotte this chance. He had not even asked about his talent, and he had allowed Charlotte to try it out. However, Xiaolei did not take Peaceful's words seriously. He thought the reason why Peaceful said he was her boyfriend was probably because she wanted to return the favor. This opportunity did not come easily. Sister Ning lied to her second uncle. "No matter what, I have to take this deal. As long as this business is completed, my reputation will definitely come out, and I won't have to worry about not earning money in the future." Xiaolei secretly thought in his heart, and there seemed to be a kind of power flowing in his body. Little Lei. Ning Yuanshan had addressed Xiaolei as master when there were others, but now that there were no outsiders, he changed the way he addressed Xiaolei as Xiaolei. He also had a cordial smile on his face. "Well, how old are you this year?" Charlotte felt awkward and nervous. Peaceful pushed Charlotte's back. Then, she quickly gave him a hand gesture. Her hand gesture was simple. She had 5 fingers on her left hand and 2 on her right. Charlotte said, "Uncle Ning, I am 25 this year." "Haha, you guys are the same age." Ning Yuanshan was not satisfied with this information. He asked, "Little Lei, who is in your family?" Charlotte forced himself to say, "My mother passed away a long time ago, and my father. Now, it is just my sister and I. She just got into Jingdu University this year. In half a month, she will be going to Jingdu to study." "I see." Ning Yuanshan's smile grew wider. He had a car, a house, and both his parents were dead. That was the best criteria for choosing a partner. For a man like Ning Yuanshan, a house and a car were nothing to him. He was happy that Charlotte's parents were not there. Peaceful felt even more awkward than Charlotte. Before Ning Yuanshan could ask any new questions, she said, "Second uncle, this is the first time Leister has seen you. Don't ask him so many questions. It's so awkward." Hee, speaking up for him so soon? All right, I won't say anything. You youngsters are getting more and more outrageous. You're hiding such a big thing from this and that, and you're not even letting me tell your dad. Stop talking." Peaceful covered her ears. Ning Yuanshan closed his mouth and glanced at Charlotte with a helpless expression. However, he was quite satisfied with Charlotte's image and temperament. Charlotte was sunny and handsome, confident but modest, and very polite to his elders. Most importantly, Charlotte's parents had passed away, which made him give Charlotte a high evaluation in his heart. They were talking and laughing when they reached the door of the workshop. Qi Jingxiu came out and politely said, "Director Ning, they are ready." "Okay." Ning Yuanshan nodded. He called out to Charlotte and said, "Master Lei, let's go in." Okay, Director Ning," Charlotte said. He thought it was interesting. When there was no one around, one was Little Lei, and the other was Uncle Ning. When there were people around, it was Director Ning and Master Lei. When Charlotte walked past Qi Jingxiu quietly said, "Leister, let's talk later." Charlotte was shocked. He did not know how to answer. Peaceful came over and held Charlotte's hand. "Lei, do you guys know each other?" He had become Lei again. Charlotte did not know whether to laugh or cry. He started to worry. If this continued, he might become the father of a child or something. We know each other, but we're not that close. Qi Jingxiu looked very careful. I see. Let's go in. I want to see you show off your skills, Peaceful urged. Okay, let's go in. Charlotte did not talk to Qi Jingxiu. He let Peaceful take his arm and walk into the workshop. He did not know what Qi Jingxiu wanted to talk to him about. He did not want to talk to her about anything. Peaceful made him nervous. Her arm was very soft. There was another place that was even softer, but he did not want her to let go. In any case, the situation gave him a headache, but it also made him feel comfortable. It was complicated and weird. Seeing Charlotte and Peaceful's backs close together, Qi Jingxiu was frozen. She followed them. After entering the workshop, there were many people around. Peaceful let go of Charlotte's arm. Good luck. Charlotte nodded and walked over to Ning Yuanshan. Next to Ning Yuanshan stood a few engineers in work attire. There's also a large, imported precision CNC machine tool. It looked like the imported precision machine tool was where he would test his skills. When he came to the machine tool, Charlotte saw German. It was a precision CNC machine tool imported from Germany. It was worth tens of millions. In fact, importing equipment from Europe and the United States was not bad. Importing precision parts from Europe and the United States was extortion. A precision bearing cost tens of thousands of dollars, and there was no bargaining. This was the result of a backward manufacturing industry. You knew you were being extorted, but you still had to buy it with a smile. Once there was an international dispute or a conflict of interest, Europe and the United States would restrict this trade. Here, the high-precision products were useless. If his precision manufacturing industry did not catch up to Europe and the United States, this problem would not be solved. Young man, have you ever used a machine tool like this? An engineer asked Charlotte with a questioning tone. It was not just him. When Charlotte appeared, the engineers of Dongfeng Heavy Industry, who had been waiting for the mysterious elite to show off his skills, were disappointed. In their opinion, a young man like Charlotte could not be skilled. The reason why they were still standing here was because of Ning Yuanshan. Charlotte looked very calm. He said lightly, "This is a DMG precision lathe imported from Germany. It has a precision of 0.001 mm." After a pause, he said, "Although I have never used such good windows, I think there should be no problem. I can also use my own Baoji lathe to process the precision of 0.009 mm. The engineer who spoke said, "Young man, it's not good to brag. We all know the performance of domestic lathes. Can you use a domestic Baoji lathe to process precision 0.0009 mm precision machine parts? I don't believe that no one in our country can reach this level." Although he was questioned by the engineer, Charlotte still maintained a polite attitude. He said, "I'm not lying. Why don't you try it?" "Yes." Ning Yuanshan said, "Let him try. Some of you just won't change your minds. Young people these days have the ability. In the future, won't the world be ruled by young people today?" Ning Yuanshan had spoken up for Charlotte. Who would dare to casually speak up and question Charlotte? The engineer who first questioned Charlotte also changed his tone. He pointed to the imported machine tool and said, "We have an imported bearing that lacks a shaft. You can process one. There is information about this bearing on the machine tool, as well as the precision and damping coefficient of the shaft. You can take a look and then you can start." It seemed very simple to process a shaft used to connect the bearing, but if it was an imported bearing with damping coefficient requirements, it would be very difficult. It was like asking a chef to process a piece of tofu. If it was just asking a chef to cut the tofu into pieces and fry it in a pot, any chef could do it. But if a chef was asked to carve a group of 2 dragons playing with a bead on this piece of tofu and then cook it, not many chefs could do it. Knowing that it would be difficult, Charlotte did not hesitate. He went to the machine tool and looked through the information and materials left by the engineer. Several engineers next to him were talking. "Who is this kid? He's not famous, and he dares to come here at such a young age? That's right. I don't believe he has any real skills when I see him. I heard that this kid was recommended by Chairman Ning's niece. Chairman Ning's son died on the battlefield, and he treats Ningjing like his own. How would he not take care of her? So that's the reason. No wonder. Some of these discussions were doubtful, and some were not pleasant to hear. But none of them said anything good about Charlotte. Qi Jingxiu was standing next to the engineers. She listened to their discussion, and a faint smile appeared on her face. Then, she crossed her arms and looked at Charlotte calmly. She thought to herself, this kid Charlotte must be a liar. When did he go to advanced engineering school? If not, he's just a high school graduate. He probably used his good looks and his mouth to coax Director Ning's precious niece. But isn't he being too arrogant? This isn't a place for him to pick up girls. These engineers are the top engineers in the country, and all of them are experts. How can they be fooled by him? Sigh, this is going to be a joke. Luckily, I was smart back then and didn't get fooled by him. Want to be with me? Does he deserve it? Humph, he's just a toad that looks better. Charlotte naturally became the center of attention when he came here. Everyone had their own opinions about him, and everyone had their own thoughts. But no matter who they were and what they thought, it couldn't affect Charlotte anymore. After reading the information on the imported bearings and the requirements for the axle, Charlotte immediately started the lathe. He did it without any hesitation or fear, because his left eye was the most precise existence in the world. The imported DMG lathe was indeed advanced. When it was operating, no sound could be heard. This precise lathe was actually a very precise existence. Every bearing, every screw, and every part were precise to the extreme. Germany represented the highest level in this field. This was not an exaggeration, it was the real deal. But now, this precise lathe from Germany was very tame under Charlotte's hands. It executed Charlotte's every operation meticulously. The lathe blade spun quickly, and the alloy parts fixed to the lathe also changed shape rapidly. Everything seemed smooth and practiced. Is this really the kid's first time using this kind of lathe? One of the engineers couldn't help but ask. Someone said, it's obvious that this kid often uses this kind of imported lathe. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so skilled. We had to hire a professional translator to slowly master the operation of the German language. How could he just casually look at it and operate it? Someone said, yeah, this kid is really cunning. He purposely said it was his first time using this kind of imported lathe. He wants to surprise us, right? Someone else said, maybe he knows German. Someone else said, even if he knows German, this lathe is filled with professional terms. Who would learn this kind of German? Only a professional translator can translate this kind of German. Even those who can speak German fluently can't do it. Someone else exclaimed, hey, this is a strange kid. There were all kinds of comments, but Qi Jingxiu's eyebrows slowly furrowed. Chapter 32. 15 minutes. It only took 15 minutes for Charlotte to complete the operation. Under normal circumstances, his job would have been done, and he could have handed over the shaft to the engineer for verification, but he didn't do so. Master Lei, are you done? Ning Yuanshan said with a smile. Charlotte had completed the processing smoothly, and as an uncle, he actually had a lot of face, so he was very happy. An engineer also said, Master Lei, right? Are you done? If you're done, give it to me. I'll take it for testing. Charlotte shook his head. You've lowered the precision of this machine. The precision of the shaft I processed is only 0.0005 mm. This can't be considered finished. After a pause, he said lightly, also, the precision of this imported bearing is actually 0.00009, which is a millimeter difference, but it can't work properly. I'm sure that even if this imported machine didn't change the precision in advance, it can't process the parts that meet the standard. I guess you must have tried many times before, but failed, right? After Charlotte's words, the whole workshop was silent. The engineer who first questioned Charlotte secretly glanced at Qi Jingxiu. His expression was very strange, but Qi Jingxiu still felt a little guilty and avoided his eyes. What's going on? Ning Yuanshan was a little angry. Did I ask you to lower the precision of the machine? Who asked you to do it? Stand up. The engineer who first questioned Charlotte looked at Qi Jingxiu again, and Qi Jingqiu's face was pale. At this time, an old engineer said, "Director Ning, I was the one who adjusted the machine. I just wanted to test Master Lei's skills. Not only is his skill superb, but his vision is also unique. I admire him." Ning Yuanshan looked at the old engineer, a little unhappy, but not obvious. "Lu Gong, aren't you looking for trouble? I've finally invited an expert, but you guys are good, making trouble for me." Qi Jingqiu secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and her pale face had a little more color. Charlotte saw all of this and was well aware of it. Qi Jingqiu made a mess, and this old man with the surname Lu came out to be the scapegoat. Moreover, Qi Jingqiu's husband's surname was Lu. Was there even a need to guess the relationship between these two? Lu Gong bowed to Charlotte. "I'm sorry, Master Lei. Please forgive me." Regardless of the relationship between Lu Gong and Qi Jingqiu, the unhappiness in Charlotte's heart vanished when a white-haired old engineer apologized to him. He helped Lu Gong up and said, it's okay. Engineer Lu is doing this for the greater good. You don't have to apologize to me, really." Lu Gong patted Charlotte's shoulder and chuckled. "Young man, I rarely admire people, but you are one of them. Tell me, how did you know that the accuracy of the machine was lowered? How do you know that this machine can't process the parts we need?" Experience. Charlotte gave an answer that wasn't really an answer. He definitely wouldn't say that he saw it with his eyes. If he said that, who knew how many jaws would drop to the ground? He's hiding it well, Lu Gong said with a smile. "However, it's not a secret in our line of work. All right, I won't ask you why. However, what I want to say is that we currently can't process the parts of this imported bearing. Even if we manage to process it, we can't make it work properly." He then looked at Ning Yuanshan and said, "Director Ning, it's not that I want to pour cold water on this young man, but without a better machine tool and technology, he can't process the parts we need. It's better to make a report and find a way to import it from abroad. That's the only way to solve the problem." Ning Yuanshan frowned and said, "Now that Europe and America have implemented a stricter technology blockade policy on us, it's not that we don't want to buy better machine tools, it's that they won't sell them. Now, precision machining parts and materials that are suspected to be used in national defense construction are restricted from trading. If you can buy them, I will immediately let you be the chairman." These words were filled with anger. No matter how hard Lu Gong's bones were, he didn't dare to go against it, so he shut his mouth. At this time, Charlotte said, "Actually, there's no need for a more advanced lathe. I could just process the shaft of this bearing by hand to meet the requirements." The workshop suddenly became quiet again. There was no sound at all. Everyone's eyes were focused on Charlotte, and their eyes were all so strange. Lu Gong said, "Young man, I admit that you are capable, but it's not good to boast. Your boasting is simply a joke. How can your hands be better than the high-precision machine tools imported from Germany? Are you trying to challenge our intelligence?" Someone echoed, "That's right. Aren't your words too unreliable?" Someone else said, "Young man, it's embarrassing to say that you can't do it. Think about it before you say it." Sarcasm and ridicule filled the room. Qi Jingqiu laughed inexplicably. She thought to herself, "I don't know when Xia Lei learned this skill, but I know that he loves to be in the limelight. It's been so many years, but he still hasn't gotten rid of this bad habit. My father-in-law is the most advanced engineer in the country. What he says is never wrong. Earlier, this kid was lucky enough to get away with it, but this time, he really can't cover up his lie." Peaceful stared at Xia Lei. Her eyes were filled with worry. Xia Lei nodded. Charlotte didn't argue with anyone. He took the shaft that had been processed and turned around to walk toward a normal manual lathe in the corner of the workshop. "He wants to use an antique lathe to process high-precision parts," someone asked. "Is this kid a joke?" "This kid is always surprising," someone said. "This time, I don't believe he will succeed, even if you beat me to death." There was another murmur of discussion. There were all sorts of things being said. Ning Yuanshan was getting impatient. He pulled Peaceful aside and quietly asked, "Can your boyfriend do it?" Peaceful's pretty face turned red. "I don't know, second uncle. I don't know much about your line of work. But I told you about how he fixed the Ming Dynasty compass. His skills are really good. It doesn't matter if you believe him or not. I believe him. Ning Yuanshan had a wry smile. Of course, you believe him, but I have to deal with these stubborn old men. Once they decide on something, even 9 bulls can't pull them back. To be honest, this time, I really hope your boyfriend succeeds. I really want to see these stubborn old men get slapped in the face. Times are improving. Why don't they want to improve? I'll go watch Alei work. Peaceful turned around and left. Ning Yuanshan sighed. Just as everyone was discussing, the antique lathe began to operate. Charlotte stared at the spinning shaft. He slowly put the knife down. In other people's eyes, Charlotte didn't use the knife to touch the shaft, but in Charlotte's eyes, the knife was already cutting the surface of the shaft. There was no sound of friction, and there were no metal shavings falling. But his high-precision manual work was still going on. 5 minutes later, he stopped the lathe. He used a clean, oiled cloth to wipe the shaft. He said, "Okay, you guys can go and try it." No one went up. A group of old engineers looked at Charlotte with their mouths open. It was like what Charlotte was holding was not a high-precision shaft that had been reworked by hand. Instead, it was a grenade. Whoever touched, it would explode. Charlotte opened his hands. "Why are you guys looking at me like that?" Lu Gong's eyes suddenly landed on the oiled cloth in Charlotte's hands. He couldn't move his eyes away. Earlier, no one thought Charlotte was working on a shaft, but the cloth had very fine metal shavings on it. "Hey," Ning Yuanshan spoke again. "What are you guys waiting for? Didn't you hear what Master Lei said? Master Lei has finished it. Why aren't you guys taking it to test?" "Oh, right away." Lu Gong snapped back to reality. He quickly took the shaft that Charlotte had worked on and took it to test. A large group of engineers followed Lu Gong. They were all talking at once, and it was very lively. Charlotte wasn't interested in watching the old men test it. He trusted his own eyes. Ning Yuanshan excitedly walked over to see the test results. Peaceful walked over to Charlotte. When she got close, she quietly asked, "Master Lei, did it work?" Charlotte nodded. "I think it worked. It wasn't that hard." Peaceful hit Charlotte and smiled. "You're so smug." Qi Jingqiu looked at Charlotte in peaceful intimacy. Her eyes became more and more complicated. At this moment, Ning Yuanshan suddenly burst into laughter. "Success! F***CK. Who cares about the European and American technology? My people can work on it with their hands." The CEO of a large state-owned enterprise cursed. This was more surprising than Charlotte working on high-precision parts with his hands. Everyone's eyes focused on Ning Yuanshan. They probably couldn't find the words to describe Ning Yuanshan at that moment. Cough, cough. Ning Yuanshan pulled on his tie and returned to his serious look. "Good, very good. You all saw it. You have to give it to me. In the future, don't mention anything about trying to import from Europe or America in front of me. I don't like hearing that. I'll let Master Lei work on the high-precision parts we urgently need. No matter what he needs, you guys have to satisfy him. Satisfy him unconditionally. If anyone tries to mess things up, I'll make them leave." If Charlotte had said something like that the moment he came to Ning Yuanshan, the group of engineers wouldn't have been happy with him. The voices of dissent wouldn't have been small. Now, however, no one objected. Ning Yuanshan said, "Secretary Qi, Master Lei will be working here for a while. You'll be in charge of his food and living arrangements." "Okay, CEO Ning." Qi Jingqiu smiled sweetly. "Let's go." Ning Yuanshan didn't have the patience to deal with the group of old men. He waved at Charlotte and said, "Master Lei, let's go to the office to talk about the contract." Charlotte had a friendly smile. "Okay." Qi Jingqiu followed Charlotte. When Ning Yuanshan and Peaceful turned to walk out of the workshop, she said in a very small voice, "Lei, when you're done with your business with Mr. Ning, don't leave in a hurry. We haven't seen each other in years. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. Let's talk." Charlotte smiled. "Aren't you afraid your brother Wu Qilong will misunderstand?" Qi Jingqiu felt like there was a fishbone in her throat. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.